All right, we're live, aren't we? What's going on, people? What's up? It's your boy Porter Rock 77. Let me check out the audio real quick. Yeah, sounding good and all that. I'm gonna let the room fill up. My man Chris Righteous, what's going on? What's up, brother? Thank you for stopping by. Let me tweet this out so I get the room full. All right. For everybody listening live, I appreciate it. Well, the room's filling up nicely. I know a lot of people were waiting for me to make this video. I don't know. I was kind of deciding whether I'm going to do it live or should I do it recorded. I wasn't sure how to address what happened recently. I know Thursday the results came out. What's up, Chaos, Ripper, Andrew, Ian, Almighty Spartan. What's up, people? Spectre, what's going on? Melon, Dark Side, what's good, everybody? Everyone's filling up nicely. 35 is already watching. Savage, what's going on? Retweet, like, get the word out. Let people know I'm up in here. Berserker, Puerto Rock, please stop already. I haven't even started. Stephen King was good. What's going on, Ruham? What's up? Rosenkrantz, what's good? I'm going to get up to that. Mark Woodland, my boy, Modus Operandi. Man, this room's filling up nicely. Get the word out. I know a lot of people have been waiting. I've been quiet, ready to see heads kicked in. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. In fact, I want to be serious. I want to talk to you guys. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys, the people that subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter, you guys that rock out with me week in, week out, you guys are important to me. You know what I'm saying? I do this for you guys, and I enjoy it. D Kings, Trickstar, why is D on the stream time? I'll tell you why. I will get up to that. Eye, what's going on, Reginald? Wow, this room's filling nicely. Can you guys leave Xbox alone, please? Well, we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about that. In fact, that's going to be a good question. I have a question for everybody, and I'm going to look for you guys to help me out and help me understand this. Chaz, I appreciate you enjoyed the content. All day was good. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate everybody's coming through. 63 watching. Again, hit the like button. Get the word out on Twitter. I want as much people to hear what I'm saying. My man Lou, what's going on? Alpha. Wow, so many people are joining up. I appreciate you guys supporting. Freddie. Man, there's a lot of people. 69 watching. Hit the like button, please. Because we're going to talk. We're going to have a good conversation here. All right? We're going to get straightforward to the point. All right? My man Mbon. Everybody's here. Anime, damn, there's a lot of people joining up. I appreciate it. All right, 71 watching. Thank you so much. I respect all of you. Whatever platform you guys game on. Thank you so much for rocking out with me. Thank you so much for watching my channel. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the comments and stuff like that. I appreciate the criticisms, the critiques, the agreements, whatever you bring to my channel. I appreciate it. And believe it or not, I try to reach. I may not answer everybody. Chances are if you only get one like out of your comment, that one like is probably me showing my appreciation. Because I appreciate everything you guys bring to the table. And I do as best as I can, read every comment that you guys leave, because I learn from you guys. I don't take for granted what you guys say. So don't think for a minute that you're wasting your time making a comment. I do read it. And sometimes if you notice only one person liked your comment, chances are that's me. That's me letting you know that I'm liking what you have to say. And that I am listening. Even though I may not be able to reply, just know that I read it and I enjoy it. And believe it or not, a lot of you bring stuff in the comment section that I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know. Because at the same time, it's not just me preaching. It's a in and out. It's a give-take relationship, because many of you guys put out great points, and I take that and I learn from it, and that helps me grow. Because when you think about it, when you cast a wide net, and everybody out there has an opinion from different parts of the globe, if we all learn from each other, we all get better about learning about the hobby that we love. So I truly appreciate that. Lex, Juan, Reunion, what's going on? XP Gamer Ghost, what's up? Savage, man, there's a lot of you that's up there. 89 watching, thank you so much for coming up. I hope you don't feel like I'm stalling. I'm just trying to make sure I get the maximum amount of people to listen live. and we all could just hear and stuff like that. All right. But I don't want to be, wait too long to be around the bush, because I know some of you have important things to do, and you can always watch this later on because it's going to be recorded and all that. But ultimately, I just want to give my gratitude and appreciation for all of you. All right. But I think right now we're almost at the 90 mark. So I think we are at the 90 mark, 44 likes. So I think we hit, a good peak. 95 already. Wow, it's jumping real quick. All right. So we're going to get to it. All right. PlayStation 4 wins NPD. It's official. We've known that for a while. It's something I've been telling each and every one of you for the longest. It's what I've been telling people on different podcasts about what's been going on. All right. So the question is, how did we get here? How did I know this was going to happen to the point where I was willing to bet people? And make no mistake, I'm telling you right now, it wasn't a bet. It was me, taking people's money. Some people just didn't see it for whatever reason. I could have bet a lot more people. My man, Tim Dog, everybody knows Tim Dog. He wanted to bet me. I didn't do it. If you guys were paying attention, D offered to bet me. Like, I ended up betting D $20 on who will win, but it wasn't on the first attempt. He actually challenged me to a bet, and I said no. Right? It wasn't until the second time he mentioned, and he called me delusional, that I decided to say, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna take the bet. And I even told him, this is not a bet. This is me taking your money. I even told him that. But he still went through it. All right? The reason why I didn't bet all these people is because, when me and Z did this bet, we did it before we knew the price of the Scorpio. And I knew Scorpio was going to be $500. Right? I knew it. But we didn't even know the official price yet. But Z was saying he didn't care if the Scorpio was $500. Xbox was going to win NPD no matter what. My man Lionel, thank you so much. He says if they want to give you your money, that's on them. And we're going to talk about that. But anyway, so even before we knew the price Scorpio, Z didn't care. So I was like, cool, I bet Z on that. Now, after the official price was announced, I knew Xbox was not going to win NPD. I knew it. There was nothing that could be said. There was nothing people could do. I don't care how many Amazon pre-orders these guys showed. I knew it wasn't going to happen. It was guaranteed. It was a wrap. It was done. Once that official price was mentioned, done. Once Phil Spencer said $4.99, it was over. It was completely over. I knew what was going to happen. And it was after the official price drop is when, like, Tim Dog said, I bet you they'll still win. I didn't take the bet. Other people like, I bet you even at $5.99 they'll still win. I'm like, I didn't take the bet. Because since I knew that PlayStation was going to win, I didn't feel it was no longer a bet. I felt it was just me stealing people's money. That's how I felt. I felt like it was me ripping people off based on their ignorance. Because they're so hardcore Xbox, they really didn't use facts. They didn't use knowledge. They didn't pull themselves out of their pride in Xbox to really see the big picture. I wasn't going to take advantage of that. I truly believe in being a genuine person. I wasn't going to take advantage of other people's pride or I wasn't going to take advantage of their people, just the fact that they're so hardcore Xbox. I wasn't going to take it. But make no mistake, I could have. I could have easily made, between all the people that wanted to bet, I probably could have won like $1,000 in total money. There was people that were like, yo, I bet you Xbox One X that they win. There was people that didn't even want to bet me money. There were people that were saying, I bet you that if Xbox win, you have to buy yourself Xbox One X. If you win, I'll buy it for you. That's how bad people were going to bet me. People were going to bet me. I'll be honest. I swear, man, I'm not lying to you guys. There was people who simply wanted a bet that if Xbox won, I had to buy an Xbox for myself out of my own money. But if I win, they would buy it for me. Think about that. If I were to lose a bet, I just had to buy myself. I had to buy myself the console. But if I win, they would buy it for me. That's how bad people wanted to bet. Do you know how much shit I could have robbed off of these people simply because they were betting off an emotion and not off of logic? You see what I'm saying? I could have easily taken advantage of a lot of Xbox dudes because of the pride they had on Xbox, but I didn't because I'm just not that type of dude, bro. I'm serious. I'm not that type of dude. Listen. Right now, I could have an Xbox One X and I would not have paid a dime for it. You don't know how many people in my DMs. I remember in fact, it was one of my live streams, right? It was around the time Houston got into that whatchamacallit, the hurricane, and everything was bad in Houston. It was a couple of months ago when they got hit hard and stuff like that. There was people on the live stream telling me, yo, give me your PayPal. I'm gonna send you $500 right now. Pre-order Xbox One X right now. They were gonna give me money right then and there for me to get an Xbox One X. And you know what I told them live on the air? If you have that much money, take that $500 and put it to a Red Horse and give it to Houston. Because I don't need an Xbox One X, but I guarantee those people out there need food, clothes, whatever. Give it to them. I don't need it. Yo, there's people out there that were going to buy a One X for me. You understand what I'm saying? Because of the pride they have in the console and Microsoft. And I told them, no, give it to somebody else. Buy the console, give it to a church or to like a hospital where kids, are sick or whatever. You see what I'm saying? That's how much. But believe me, I'm going to be real. If I wanted to, I could rob the Xbox community blind with the shit y'all offered. Yo, there was probably maybe maybe 10 dudes between all of them that each of them would be like, yo, I'll chip into an Xbox. Between what they were going to chip in, they would have gotten me fucking $1,500. I could have bought an Xbox One X and had $1,000 of cash left over. I swear. No lie. And I said no to all of them. Because I'm not that type of dude. I believe in karma. I truly believe in, when you rip people off, when you're not genuine people, eventually it comes back to you in one form or another, That's why I didn't bet a lot of people. I kept it with Z. You know what I'm saying? Lionel Bug and Porter, you got to talk about that 1 minute PUBG hearsay and that PUBG 1X bundle. Sad day in Xbox history. MS has no integrity. This will have never fly with Nintendo Sony. Where's the integrity? And we're going to talk about that. Man, thank you for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. I will bring that up, man. I appreciate that support. All right? But let me get back to what I'm saying. So with this bet, the only reason, and I told D the first time, I didn't want to bet him because I didn't want to take his money. I told him this. It wasn't until the second time around where he called me delusional and said I didn't know what the fuck I'm talking about. All right, so you want to get personal? Give me your shit then. Fuck it. And I told him, this ain't a bet. This is me taking your shit. And I told him that live on air. All right? This isn't personal. This is me taking your shit. And that's what ended up happening. I ended up winning the bet. Z owes me $60. D-Batch owes me $20. You understand what I'm saying? That's the facts. That's the reality. And the funny thing is, I told people why PlayStation was going to win. I told them, number one, it was going to be marked down to $200. So this wasn't a surprise to Sony because now people are making up shit saying Sony was scared. That's why they dropped the price to $200. No, I told you this last year. Last year, for $250 and less, they were selling the PS4 Slim and a game, which was Uncharted, for $250. What makes you think they're going to sell a PS4 Slim without a game for the same price? Of course they're going to make it $50 cheaper. You see what I'm saying? I mean, let's be honest. Am I really a prophet? Is it really that hard to put 2 and 2 together? November 2016, PlayStation Slim with a game, $250. November 2017, PlayStation by itself, $199. Did people really think a $50 price drop was not going to happen? Is that really a hard thing? Make Luca a mod? All right, no doubt. Luca, you want to be a mod? Let me make Luca a mod right here. Let me find her name. Where you at? There you go, Luca. Luca's a homegirl. She there you go. Boom. You see what I'm saying? Let's see. It would be interesting to compare both Sony and Microsoft financial statement. I'm gonna try to find out. We're gonna talk about that. All right. But am I really some super analytical dude? Oh shit, 69, man, my man 69. Hold on, 69. I got you because you've been here all the time. Right? Just hey, if you're a moderator, don't get carried away. I know there's gonna be guys who instigate the chat. All I'm asking is, you know, my main rule is like the cursing. Like if you hear PlayStation faggot or X fag, shit like that, I don't like. Please, keep that in check. But the little fanboy comment, don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't let that slide. As long as they keep it console-ish, is okay. But once people start using derogatory terms and shit like that, or death threats, stuff like that is, I'm not cool with that. Right? That's just really the thing. All right. All right. Just make sure you have a little thick skin. But derogatory, racist terms, that's what I'm not cool with. All right. But everything else, like if they say PS4 sucks, Xbox sucks, that's fine. Unless that's fine. But anyway, back to what I'm saying. I didn't really say something that was really out of whack. Pordock taking money from Xbox like Phil Spencer E3. Can you feel the power? My man Lino, man. My man, Lino, we gotta talk offline one day. I gotta get you on this thing because you be killing them in the chat. I gotta wonder, you know what I'm saying? We gotta check your mic skills. We gotta put you up in here, you know what I'm saying? Because you be doing good stuff, right? I don't know. We gotta get you up here. But to tell you people, I didn't say anything that was really astronomical. I even showed evidence of situations where new hardware didn't win NPD. Look back to my video with that I replied to BG. I showed November NPD. If you don't go, you could go to Google, type in November NPD 2005. That is the month Xbox 360 launch. And you see the PS2 outsold it. And then do a Google search for November NPD 2006. That was the month PS3 launched and the Wii launched. PS2 outsold those two. And PS2 outsold 360 again, despite the fact that the best-selling game of that month was Gears of War. 1 million sales. But even with a killer app, PS2 outsold it. You see what I'm saying? And PS2 was an old-gen console. So what I was trying to tell people is the reason why PS2 was able to do that was because it was the most popular console at the time, and it had most of the games people wanted to play. It was the console everybody had. I was trying to tell people the same logic applied to the PS4. It is the console that is the most popular. Now, I'm not saying it's the console you guys should feel is the best. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is it is by fact the most popular console. It's the console everybody has. It's the console everybody wants to play, the majority. That's why it's going to win. Oh, and it's $200. And then you add the Call of Duty bundle and the Battlefront bundle. It's a wrap. A $500 console can't keep up with that. I'm not saying that the One X is a bad console. It is a great console, but it is still a $500 console nonetheless. It's hard, to think that the average gamer that wants to play Call of Duty and Madden is willing to drop 5 bones. When it's all said and done between the console, Xbox Live, and the games, you're talking a $600 to $700 purchase. That's a little bit crazy, especially when the PlayStation 4 Slim is $199 and they were giving away a $50 gift card. That's a lot to ask for just for graphics. Most console gamers, are not graphic whores. People talked about the last 3 years when PlayStation was only bought. No, PlayStation was not bought strictly just for graphics. Come on, we need to stop that narrative. All right? Most people buy a PlayStation simply because they're PlayStation fans. They're just simply a fan of PlayStation. Number 2, PlayStation sells in more regions of the world than Xbox. Number 3, it was cheaper than an Xbox for a while or competitively priced. I was trying to tell people, at no point did Sony say, for an extra $300, play on the most powerful console. They never did that. The PlayStation 4 was not $300 more than its nearest competitor. You understand? But nobody want to listen. I even said that there were times when Microsoft won NPD in the beginning, because they did win a few NPDs, November and December 2014. Both of those months, Xbox won one. But it was because it was $100 cheaper. I even showed them that when Xbox was $100 cheaper, it outsold the PlayStation. because the $100 price difference was too good for people to resist. Again, no one listened. They want to call me delusional. They want to hype that the One X was going to sell a million by itself in the month of November. Just because the OG Xbox One, when it launched, sold almost a million. I'm like, that's not the same. Because when these consoles launched in 2013, number one, it's been 8 years since we had consoles. So everybody was thirsty on buying something new. And then number two, there was no current gen console being sold for $200. There was no alternate choice. In November 2017, you didn't have to buy an Xbox One X to play Xbox games. They were selling a 189 Xbox One S. And some people don't care for graphics. You saw Xbox One S sold a lot, which was another thing I was telling people. The One X is not going to be the main seller of Xbox. No one listened. But now everybody's looking back. Now everybody's reflecting. Now everybody's trying to change or create a story on why PlayStation 1. Nah, I already said this months ago. There's no going back. It's that most people just didn't see it. They went with the easy answer. It's new hardware, so obviously it's going to win. Nah, it doesn't work that way. All right? But I'm going to say this. I don't understand. People just can't accept reality and be real with their fan base that follow them. Now a new lie is being pushed. New bad information is being pushed now. And I don't understand why they're pushing this false information. And I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. All right? Now, Xbox, for November, earned more hardware revenue compared to PlayStation. All right? So now the Xbox community, the YouTube channels are saying Microsoft actually won because they made more money in revenue hardware. That's what they're being pushed. All right? What's funny is revenue doesn't equal profit. We already know that Microsoft is not making money off of Xbox One X hardware sales. They are breaking even. That's number one. Number two, all right, it's not the sale of the hardware what makes you money. It's what happens after the hardware is sold, which is game sales. That is where the money is going to come from. All right? Sure, you sold an Xbox One X for $500, right? But Sony sold more PlayStation consoles, right? Because Sony grew the install base. Since there are more consoles out there, that's going to be more people coming back to buy games. The actual money is from the software sales, right? And you get software sales from people buying it on the hardware they own. You can't sell Xbox games if people don't buy your Xbox. Who's going to buy an Xbox One game if they don't own an Xbox in their house? So this narrative of, well, Microsoft generated more hardware revenue doesn't mean anything. It's what's going to come after. Where is the software sales going to come? All right. My man Daniel J said, I predict the PS4 will hit 90 million at the end of next year. What do you think? I agree with that, and we'll talk about that. Thank you, Daniel J, for the super chat. Shout out. Great point. Here's the thing that I want to teach you guys. When I said that Sony was going, it wasn't because I'm a Sony fanboy. Listen, and this is gonna go into how apparently I'm the bad guy of multiplayer podcasts, because that's what I want to talk about too. But yes, I have a preference for PlayStation. That's no lie. I never denied that. But I'm not going to feed you bullshit information just to make PlayStation sound good. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to tell you the realness. How many times have I told you on this podcast, PS Now is a failure? And I've proven it. I said constantly, PS Now is a failed service. Because if you look at what Sony's done, they told us how many consoles have been sold. They told us how many active users are on PSN. They told us how many PSN Plus subscribers we have. They told us how many game sales PlayStation 4 has done. They told us how many PlayStation VR has sold. And they even told us how many specific PlayStation VR games have sold. They tell us all of that. But where can we find how many people signed for PS Now? Nowhere. Why? Because it's garbage. No one's paying for that crap. If I was a PlayStation fanboy, I would make up some spin. But I'm not. I'm telling you truth. It is what it is. I keep it real with you. I'm the one that told you about that 8.4 teraflop was bullshit. How many people bash me for that? I keep it real. Because it doesn't make sense that I have people that follow me on my channel and I'm going to provide dumbass information. So I don't understand why these dudes are telling the people that are their followers, their subscribers, that Microsoft won because of hardware revenue, when they know for a fact the money is what comes after what comes after the hardware is sold. It's the game sales. It's the returning customer that that comes back and buys games. The more consoles you have out there, the more people that you have will come back to buy games. That is where the money is at. And because Sony sold the most, and keep in mind, this is just in America. MPD doesn't track the world. It's only America. My man Sarcastic asked me if I'm from Puerto Rico. My parents are. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. But my parents are from Puerto Rico. But what I'm saying is, here in MPD, it only tracks America. Worldwide, it wasn't even a contest. It's an actual slaughter. There's places around the world where Xbox don't even sell to at all. So now, let's go back to the real thing. Why do I care about MPD? And I said this a million times. Do people really have to care about MPD? No, you don't. You don't really need to know, okay? Do you really need to track sales as a gamer? Not necessarily. All right. But some people ask, then why even bother? I only say, if you wake up, right? Or not even wake up, if you play a console, right? And you spend the time asking yourself, damn, why is this game on PlayStation and not on Xbox? Damn, why are these publishers providing extra content on PlayStation and not on Xbox? Damn, why is this console getting so much more indie development than on Xbox? If you ask yourself that, or in even any console, why is console A getting more shit than console B? 9 times out of 10, it's because of sales. It's because of market share. Publishers and developers will side with the platform that has the best sales. If you ask yourself and you look at your preferred platform and you wonder why time and time again your preferred platform is not getting the support like the other platform, 9 times out of 10, it's the market share. It's the console market share. That's it. That's what it comes down to. It doesn't mean, last gen, the 360 was getting more support than PS3. Why? Because 360 was selling more games. Developers saw more value, more potential to make more money off of 360 than they did off of PlayStation. That's why even with the arcades, you saw games like Braid, Super Meat Boy come first to Xbox, and then a year later or so on PlayStation. That's why you saw BioShock and Elder Scrolls Oblivion. They went to Xbox first, then a year later. That's why you saw Mass Effect was on Xbox first. Then like 2 years later, it went on PlayStation. Xbox 360 was where the money is. So they were more partial. That's why like Lost Planet, the first one, Dead Rising, Capcom. And keep in mind, everybody's like, favorite Japanese console. Look what Capcom did last gen. Lost Planet and Dead Rising was on Xbox first and was exclusively on Xbox for a long time. Why? Because that's where the money was at. You see what I'm saying? So if you wake up, if you spend your time thinking about that, then yeah, you need to pay attention to sales because that's your answer. Now, if you don't care and you don't spend time wondering, you just enjoy playing what you enjoy playing, you don't really care what's on another platform or how many more games the other platform gets. If you don't spend your time worrying about why I'm not being able to play this, then you don't have to worry about sales at all. If you just care of what's available to you and that's it, then that's it. You're good. You really don't have to pay attention to the industry or how the industry tracker is. You're good. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But this leads to my next point. Well, I'm gonna address a couple of super chat. My man Lionel Buggin, he's asking me, he asked about PUBG and what I thought about it selling 1 million in 2 days and how Microsoft is bundling it. All right. Here's the reality. right? I knew PUBG was going to be a big hit. It's going to be a big hit. One is $30, which is not that expensive. And PUBG was talked about for a long time. It was very popular on PC. It sold over, 25 million on PC by itself. And there's been months and months of people talking about PUBG. So the game pretty much sold itself, right? And then 2017 was a very dry year for exclusives. And not just for exclusives, but it was a very dry year in terms of multiplayer for Xbox. Because most people still kept playing Gears of War. So new multiplayer experiences, the bread and butter of Xbox, it was lacking. Because there was no really bread and butter exclusive multiplayer on Xbox this year. Like, what multiplayer were they playing exclusively? There wasn't none. So now you got a PUBG. It's only available on Xbox. It's $30. It's super popular on streams, and everybody's just talking about it. Hell yeah, it was going to do 1 million in 2 days, right? It's a big deal. And some people hate the idea of preview games. It is what it is. If that's what the community likes, that's what the community likes, to each their own. Now, Microsoft's trying to pack in the game into the console to help boost December sales. Because make no mistake, I told people after the first initial week of high sales of Xbox One X that the honeymoon's going to be over. Because most of the people that bought the One X were people that already owned the One X. And some dudes, my man AJ Felton, he could tell you, he DM'd me his stats. 2017, he mostly played Gears. And you're probably not the only one. It's by far the best multiplayer that's on Xbox right now, right next to Halo. So PUBG is a big thing, and that's rightfully so. Now back to what I'm saying. One X sales are dropping. And not saying because it sucks or whatever, it's just naturally going to happen because the first week of sales is mostly the hardcore that have been waiting months to get it. The Tim Dogs, many of you guys are hardcore Xbox gamers. All day, K-Mega, everybody. All the hardcore Xbox gamers that love the platform, you guys were waiting for it and you got it. Now, we're 6 weeks out from launch. Who's left to buy the console? You know what I'm saying? Lionel Bug is asking, where's the integrity of the Xbox brand? We're going to talk about that too. But who's left to buy the console? Majority of the hardcore Xbox fans got the One X. Now the question is, who's left? You know who's left? The neutrals. The people who... Because it ain't the PlayStation fans. The hardcore PlayStation fans are not going to buy the One X. They're not. Call them fanboys. Call them non-gamers. You could call them whatever you want. They're not going to buy the One X because they prefer games. They like Sony exclusives. PlayStation's their platform. You could call them fanboys. You could call them whatever you want. They're not going to pay $500 for an Xbox. You're saying? My man says when PC5 is $500 plus, what are you going to say? I'll talk to you about that later. But they're just not going to buy it. And the neutrals? This generation, my man Daniel J, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said this generation feels like the PS2. Watch them drop it down to $99. I guarantee it. Yeah, that's why I don't think PlayStation 5 is going to come quick. Sony's going to enjoy PlayStation 4 success because they have no reason to drop a PlayStation 5. It's clear the power advantage didn't hurt them at all. PlayStation, Xbox One power has been talked about for a whole year. What's up, Craig Harris? What's up, everybody? What's up, Brian? What's going on? But the power and what was coming with the Xbox One X was talked about for a long time. But as you can see, it didn't slow down PlayStation. People just didn't care. They're not going to care about the platform, And I'm not saying the platform is bad or whatever. Is people are going to care what they care about. And a PlayStation 4 at $199, that's just a deal that's just hard up, Let me address my man Lionel's. Where's the integrity of Xbox? I'll be honest. I don't know what's going on with the Xbox brand. I just don't know. All I could do is just sit back and just watch. There's just so much information going one way or another. And these pro Xbox channels that are dedicated to Xbox, they're not putting the pieces back together. You know what I'm saying? I honestly don't know what to make of Microsoft. Because when I listen to Phil Spencer, when he's on like a Business Insider or MSNBC Money, places that deal with just business, he talks a totally different game as compared to a gaming channel. Because I'm a gaming, on a gaming channel or gaming news like IGN or whatever, he talks about how he likes Xbox and he's gonna grow Xbox, whatever. But then when he's on a financial news that's not gaming centric, he talks about how he wants to grow Microsoft as a gaming brand and he wants to put games on every device. He even mentioned, and this was funny, he mentioned on a financial channel, right, that Xbox streaming or game streaming is coming within 3 years. He didn't mention that on the gaming channels. So I really don't know what's happening. And every year it seems like Phil Spencer says, oh, we're working on exclusives. We're working on this. Every year. And I can't tell you what's happening. All I could do is just sit back and wait at this point. I honestly don't know what else to say about Xbox. I honestly, someone's asking you if I think PS5 won't be holiday 19. Nah, it's not coming out to at least 2020, 2021. That's my opinion anyway. 2019, I think they'll be cutting their legs off for no reason. Because it's clear that Xbox One X is not slowing down PlayStation. So why would Microsoft why would PlayStation lose money off of PlayStation 4 when they're killing it? They're making too much money. Let them, I think they're just going to enjoy just the fruits of their labor, But back to Xbox integrity, Lionel, I wish I could tell you more. I just don't know what Xbox is going to do. In my opinion, I think Microsoft is going to be more about Microsoft gaming and Xbox is just going to be a device. I honestly believe that one day we're going to see Microsoft first party on the PlayStation platform because Microsoft is only going to care about just making games for everything. They're not going to care about Xbox versus PlayStation. To them, that's not going to matter. To them, it's just making money off of the gaming industry any way they can. And I think they'd rather have just their games and services on everything by trying to focus on a dedicated device. I think Phil Spencer's vision is not about Xbox. It's just about Windows gaming and how they could take advantage of every device that's out there, whether that device is Nintendo, PlayStation, PC, laptops, phones, whatever's out there that plays a game, they want their products on it. So it's no longer about making Xbox look good. I think it's making Windows gaming look good. Do I think PlayStation is going to surpass 120? I think so. I definitely do. I don't know if it's going to reach 150, but I have a feeling they could do 120. That's just me. That's just my opinion on how I feel about this. Now, I want to talk to you guys about something that I just caught last minute. All right. So yesterday I was on a GRG podcast. All right. Shout out to K Mega. It's a good podcast. It's not like it's a good podcast. Good crew, good grown conversation, good mature conversation. But something rubbed me the wrong way. All right. Something rubbed me the wrong way towards the end. And that's when my man One Away Dragon said, yo, I want to give a shout out to Porter. He said something to the effect of, that he has a newfound respect because he thought I was going to come in and act a fool on the podcast, but he appreciates the way I conducted myself on K Mega's podcast. So I want you guys to follow along with me. He said there's a newfound respect. He has a newfound respect for me based on how I conducted myself on the GRG podcast. Because he thought I was going to come into that podcast and he was like, he assumed that I was just going to start on some bullshit. That's pretty much how he did. I'll be honest, I found while I appreciate what he's trying to do, I think that's kind of passive aggressive. Because here's the thing. If he has that opinion of me, it's simply because of how I am on the multiplayer podcast. And more and more I keep hearing that because most people based what I do is based on the multiplayer podcast. Here's my thing though. I'm not the only one that go all out on the multiplayer podcast. I'm not the only one that acts that way. In fact, that's what the podcast is about. Is to, rep aside. You got your Xbox dudes. If we ever have a PC dude, if we ever have a Nintendo dude, me, I'm more of the PlayStation side. We go up in there. We talk about a topic and everybody goes ham on it. Right? So why am I the only one that gets blasted for it? I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't get how I'm the only one that gets called out for acting a certain way on the multiplayer podcast when everybody else does it. I know. Be honest, the truth is I know the answer. The answer is because I'm the PlayStation rep on the podcast. You know, if I was the Xbox rep, no one would have an issue. At least nobody in that community will have an issue. Everybody's cool with the Xbox dudes walling out. But God forbid you have one PlayStation dude, you know, hand out some L's. Now that's a problem. You see what I'm saying? That's what's crazy. Here's the reality of it. As much as I'm the PlayStation and that's my preferred brand, I mostly spoke truth on the multiplayer podcast. Now, shout out to All Day. He's always kept it funky. And shout out to Jay Fonzarelli at the times he was there, shut up to funky. It's mostly, I'll be honest, it's mostly Zaire. Obviously, that's what he does. K Mega, most of the time. You know, who else we had? T Reaper was a big one. 100 every time he shows up. Sometimes, Garrett, Kingsblood, he keeps it funky. Post Up, he keeps it real, but, you know, Mastelin, they're mostly pro Xbox. Most of the time, D-Batch, he's definitely pro Xbox, but there was a few times he kept it real. But for the most part, they go ham on Xbox, and it's okay. I say something in favor of PlayStation, I'm a fanboy and I can't be trusted, be careful, whatever. I don't get that. Especially this. Listen to this. Let's look at the facts. It wasn't me that was spreading lies. Why am I even going to say lies? Let me rephrase that. It wasn't me spreading bad information that Scorpio was going to have Ryzen. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't the one that was telling y'all that it's going to have Vega. I wasn't doing that. I was the one, the only player on that podcast, excluding I'm not gonna put All Day into this or whatever. But for the most part, I was the one that was telling people Scorpio's not gonna have Vega, it's not gonna have Ryzen because there's not enough time to have that architecture. I told people if Microsoft's going to launch the Scorpio by the time November 2013 comes, that means they already have the console built now. And this was around, September, October timeframe last year. I told them it was over, the prototype's already done. Because they have to have the console ready by March, April, May, so they could submit it to the FCC for certification. And that takes a couple of months to certify. They don't have time to wait for Ryzen and Vega. There's no time. It wasn't because I was scared about the power or scared about Microsoft advancing tech. That has nothing to do with that. There was not enough time. Time is not on Xbox side to implement architecture that hasn't even been manufactured yet. It's already done. But they didn't listen. Oh, I'm a fanboy. I have stocks in AMD, all this shit. So I just left it alone. And for months, you're talking October, November, December, January, February, March, April, month after month, week after week, 3 to 4 podcasts a week talking about Ryzen and Vega and what's it going to do for gaming here on out. Like literally months, like hundreds of hours of them preaching this. And in the end, it didn't happen. And no one calls them out for it. Nobody in the Xbox community says, yo, you dudes wasted my time talking about something that didn't happen. You had dudes that spent 100, 200 hours listening to this. And in the end, they didn't get it. And nobody said nothing. Yo, imagine you spend 100, 200 hours. And these guys are preaching to you what Vega and Ryzen is going to do on your preferred platform. And then you come to find out it doesn't happen. How do you not get pissed that you wasted 200 hours of your life listening to shit that didn't happen? But they don't care. They just sweep it away. That, you know what I'm saying? And yet somehow I'm the bad guy. If you look at the multiplayer podcast, I'm the one that told people, whether you're pro Xbox or not, I told, and majority of the people on multiplayer podcast, they're mostly Xbox dudes because that's Zaire's channel. Right? If you're listening to the multiplayer podcast and you're listening to me right now, I'm the one that told you Xbox wasn't gonna have Ryzen. I'm the one that told you it wasn't gonna have Vega. I'm the one that told you it was going to be $500. And I'm the one that told you Xbox was not going to win MPD. I didn't do this to be a fanboy. I'm preaching real information. And guess what? Every single thing I said was true. So how am I the bad guy when I just preach truth to you, yet the dudes that spend hours preaching bullshit to you, they're cool? I don't get that. People coming up on the podcast, oh shit, watch it. He's about to spread some bullshit. I'm not the one spreading bullshit. I don't get it. I'm the one keeping funky. Like, yo, when I hopped on the GRG podcast, right? The reason why I hopped on, but then my mic had problems because I was running a program that had control of the mic. That's why you couldn't hear me. So anyway, the reason why I hopped on, because I wanted to talk about the Knights of the Old Republic. You had Kaleidoscope, you had K-Mega, and you had somebody else, I think Lemon, 108 Dragons. They're telling people listening to a podcast that there's potential that Microsoft can have Knights of the Old Republic as an exclusive. And I was texting all day, quickly, but the conversation was going too fast. And the reason why I wanted to hop on was to tell them that's not going to happen because Knights of the Old Republic is owned by Lucasfilms. And it was developed by BioWare. BioWare works for EA. EA is not going to make an exclusive Star Wars game for Xbox. It would be multi-plat. This is what I'm talking about. So how am I the bad guy for giving you guys real information? Granted, you may not like hearing it, but sometimes I think on the Xbox side, you guys rather hear lies, but it feels good than to hear the truth, even though it hurts. I think you guys prefer to hear the bullshit because it just makes you feel good. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. My man Lionel Buggins said, Portorock, don't blame them. Look at their daddy, Phil Spencer. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. My man's brutal. You understand what I'm saying? Man outdoor. Xbox people want to be lied to and most live in a fantasy land. Yo, listen. I'll give it a hint. I have this dude. What's his name? Oh my God, I forgot his name. Fucking Pyro 2000. Yo, JTech TV. That's what he calls himself. He's blocked. I don't follow the dude. I don't mess with that dude at all. That dude is out his mind. And he is hardcore PlayStation fan. He is the crap gamer of PlayStation through and through. Yo, the bullshit that dude says is unbelievable. I have him blocked. I don't want to know nothing about him. I don't even talk about him. I ignore him. Because I'm not down with that. I don't want to listen to a dude that's going to try to make me feel good about PlayStation. That is not fun. That doesn't help me. I don't need anybody to help me feel good about my console. At the end of the day, I just play it. But if we're going to talk real things, if we're going to sit down and talk for an hour on a podcast, we need to talk real shit. And we need to be honest with each other. You understand what I'm saying? We need to be real. Because I have better things to do for my hour than just circle jerk. I don't need to spend week after week in a podcast, people stroking my nuts and I'm stroking theirs. Nah, I don't need that. Best hairline in the podcast. Yo, my barber though, right? But I'm going to be real. It doesn't make sense. The lies, especially if you have a huge following, why are you like stroking people's egos on false information? That just bugs me out. And make no mistake, listen, when I'm on other people's channels, if you have a true channel, I am respectful on everybody else's channel. I don't conduct myself the way I do on multiplayer podcasts. That is how Zaire wants it. If Zaire told me, hey, starting this Thursday, we're going to keep it legit, no fanboy shit, then I would keep it legit. You know? Some people thought yesterday when I went on GRG that I was going to act up. Little do you guys know, I was already on the GRG podcast already. That's why K-Mega had no problems because he knows how I am. He already has trust that I'm going to keep it clean on his podcast. I'm going to respect his podcast. I was on Fame 2K's channel. I was on Press Start Coffee's podcast. I was on the Weapon Wheel podcast. I was on the Quest podcast. Completely respectful. No issues. Because I know they don't conduct themselves that way. But if you ever noticed, there was a lot of passive aggressiveness stuff happening on that podcast. I keep it cool. Believe me. Yo, my skin is like 23 feet of concrete on top of 100 feet of iron. You can't get to me. Because at the end of the day, it's just a PlayStation console. It doesn't really matter our opinions. I'm not going to get emotionally hurt that people... Let's take, for example, my man, One Away Dragons. He made a comment saying that he made a video and he talked about how Xbox Live has about 4 times the revenue of PSN. So it's not even close. Microsoft Live blast. And he said that's the facts. All I asked was, can he send me a link so I could look at the video? That's all I asked. I didn't say he was wrong. I didn't say he was a fanboy. I didn't say he was full of shit. I just said, hey, can you send a link? Nah, it's late. It's too late. You got a channel. You better keep up on your job. I'm like, God damn, I just want to see your video. You know? And I'm like, so you mentioned something, but you don't want to hook a brother up with a link. I ain't gotta hook you up, Puerto Rock. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this? I just asked, can I see your video? I just want to see the information you preached. So how am I the bad guy? Because I want to see the content you said you made. Isn't that the whole point? You made a video. You took time out to present information. Yo, it got so bad that people challenging me, like people saying, oh, we need a date for God of War. And because of that, it's because we want to pre-order. That's why we want a date. All I said was you could pre-order the game now on PlayStation. You could go to the PlayStation store and pre-order it right now. I got attacked for saying that. All I'm doing was passing information to them. If they are so concerned about pre-ordering God of War, I told them they could do it on the store now. Just pre-order it. And what they say to me, oh, but did you fully pay for it? I'm like, what are we talking about? What do you mean if I fully paid for it? PlayStation doesn't have a layaway program. Like, what are we arguing? Like, what are you guys trying to do? I just gave you an information. If you want to pre-order God of War on the PlayStation digitally, you can do that. You don't have to go to GameStop. Yo, even Delilah, shout out to her. She even did a little sneaky. Oh, but Sony got your money now. Well, no shit. I don't know. Sony wasn't going to give it to me for free. If you want to pre-order something, last I checked, you gotta pay for it. I don't understand the passive aggressive I went through on that podcast. So how did I become a bad guy for something everybody else does? Yo, I firmly believe that if I was an Xbox dude, I would have these dudes eating out the palm of my hands. I swear to God, I probably wouldn't even have to buy a game again. Seriously. I would have these people eating out of the palm of my hands. I will have 4K TVs, Xbox headsets, games out the ass. If I were to do for Xbox what I do now and maybe add a little bit more lines, oh shit. Yo. I'll be honest, and I'm not trying to say the lies is dumbass. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I just don't know how other people aren't held to the same standard that I'm being held to. I don't get it, especially if you listen to the multiplayer podcast, most of the correct information came from me. Again, I didn't preach to you guys Xbox One X was going to have Ryzen, Vega. I wasn't saying that it's going to cost $400. I told you it was going to be $500. I told you guys don't expect Xbox to win NPD. Don't expect the average casual is going to buy One X. It's going to be the One S if they want Xbox. I was just telling you all this stuff. Yo, it just trips me out. You understand what I'm saying? And the funny part is, If people want to see how I act, check out my own podcast, Fame 2K. I even debated Kid Smooth. I was respectful. I was on Weapon Wheel, respectful. Here's the thing. On my channel, I even had Xbox. In fact, my first guest was Windy City Gaming. He's a more Xbox dude. I had Kid Smooth. I had Fame Entertain 2K. I had Xbox 448 on my channel. Zaire. I had Ran Outdoor. If Mooch and Crap Gamer were a bunch of douchebags, I would have them too. I don't care what platform you rep. Let's talk real. I'll talk to any gamer from any platform, anytime. And we're going to enjoy a conversation. Yo, I had live wires with a one-on-one. And that dude's insane. That dude goes on Twitter calling people pedophile for like in a PS4 game. And I had his dude. And when you listen to our podcast, it was respectful and it was good information between me and him. There's not a dude I won't talk to if you keep it cool. Not one dude. I don't care what platform you rep. I can have a good conversation with anybody. And I've proven that on multiple channels. You know what I'm saying? Multiplayer podcast is built for the fight, for the arguments. I'm not the only one that do that. Everybody does it. But I'm the only one that gets blamed for it. Yo, that shit's a trip. That shit's tripping. You understand what I'm saying? But now let me ask, you know what I'm saying? Let me ask some questions. Let me answer some questions from what I see. Number one, my people, one question somebody asked was, how do I feel about the difference between pro and let me make sure the super chat. I answered everybody's super chat. Okay. So how do I feel about the difference between pro and Xbox One X? Me personally, I don't have a pro, I don't have a One X. I don't plan to get those things. All I can say is this. If you're an Xbox gamer and you love Xbox, the Xbox One X is your best way to enjoy the best experience you get on Xbox. If you're a PlayStation dude and you love PlayStation, the PlayStation Pro is the best way to experience the PlayStation if you're into power. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. That's really what it comes down to it. The whole thing about superior version of multiplats, superior this, that, and third, that's on y'all. That's on what you want. All right. At the end of the day, each console has its own reason. It doesn't matter if majority of the gamers out there buy Call of Duty. It doesn't matter. Like people like saying, oh, most people are playing the same games. Look at Call of Duty. I'm not playing Call of Duty right now. I might buy it when it's cheaper, but right now I'm playing exclusives. I'm not going to tell people what you want you to play. You choose the platform based on what you want. Don't worry about what other people want. Don't worry about if what most people play is Call of Duty, whatever. If you want the best Xbox experience in terms of performance, get a One X. If you want the best PlayStation experience in terms of the performance, get a PlayStation. If you don't want that and you just want to play good games, get an Xbox One S or get a PlayStation 4 Slim. That's it. That's really comes down to it. Only you could decide what you want. I know what I want. And that's why I go by. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not the type to say real gamers play on everything. It's not that easy. Some people can't, they can't invest on multiple consoles. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to judge a person because they didn't buy an Xbox or a PlayStation or PC or whatever. If you could buy every platform, understand this, you are very fortunate. A lot of people honestly cannot buy multiple platforms. And I'm not the type to say, well, if you can't buy more than one platform, get the fuck out of gaming. It's not that shallow. It's not that serious. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that type to judge. Marcel said, so who won MPD? Marcel, it was PlayStation. Oh, snap. Oh, man, you guys are crazy. You guys are funny. Oh, man. 220 people watching. Thank you so much. Hit that like button. All right. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but I want to say this. All right. Pass this around. Doesn't matter what podcast you have. Hell, I was on I was on Blue Rendezvous Speak podcast, and that was a great podcast. I was on a lot of podcasts. If you're an Xbox dude, right? Don't be afraid to invite me on your podcast because I don't act like an idiot or go aggressive on other people's podcasts. I'm gonna preach, I'm gonna preach factual information. I'm not gonna stroke people's egos, but I'm not gonna treat your podcast like if I'm the multiplayer podcast. I'm not gonna go like that. Never did. You don't believe me? Ask Frame 2K. You can ask Kids Move. When we were together, Weapon Wheel. Can ask what's the name? The Quest podcast. What's his name? Oh my god, I forgot his name. Oh man, I thought what's the dude's name? It's I have it on the tip of my tongue. He has a Quest podcast every Thursday. He's an Xbox dude, but he talks about a game. He's a good dude. I can't remember. Excuse me. Anyway, you guys know. Just type in Quest podcast in the search engine. You understand? You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is. All right. Dark Optimist. There you go. Thank you, AJ Felton. Dark Optimist. Good dude. I even had him on my podcast a couple of times. Real good dude. All right. You know, real good dude. Now, another question. Somebody asked me, what will I do if PlayStation 5 was $500? All right. I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't buy a PlayStation 5 for $500. Well, let me rephrase that. If by the time the PlayStation 5 was big and huge, chances are next gen, I'll probably buy both consoles launch only because of my channel. I'll be honest. And I'm going to be real with you. Only because if I'm going to keep my channel up and next generation gaming starts, in order for me to talk about the next generation and give you the content about next generation, I would have to be part of it. So this channel, and for the sake of being part of you guys in the community, yeah, me and Renato, we've been planning that for a long time. We gotta definitely get together on that one. But for the sake of talking with you guys, engaging with you guys, I would probably have to buy the PS5 and the Xbox at launch at their price. I'm hoping that they don't launch it, both consoles at $500. I'm hoping both the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 are $400. Both. All right. I hope they both do. Well, hell, if Rand wants to sign up, I'll send him a link if he's willing to join. Rand, if you want to join right now, we could talk right now, especially if you have something open to say. And stuff like that. Just let me know right now if you want to hop in the comment section, and I'll send you the link right now. But back to me supporting next generation console, I would do it for the sake of supporting the channel and getting one there, right? Now, if both consoles are over $500, like $600, I'm sorry, dog. That ain't happening. I will never, ever, ever pay $600 for a gaming console ever again. I'm not doing it. Nah, I'm sorry. I'll just be stuck playing PS4 and Xbox One for the rest for like 2-3 years. I'm not doing that. That ain't. I'll go PC before. Nah, I'm not doing that. Nope. All right, let me send you the link. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I can't support $600 consoles. I can't do that. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna be real and I'm gonna tell you why. Reason why I can't support $600 console is because consoles are successful when it's affordable to gamers. Remember, the advantage of console is affordability and easy plug and play. That's the main advantage. You see what I'm saying? A $500, $600 console takes away from that. If you haven't noticed, these consoles are selling more because they hit the $200 mark. They're at $200. You know what I mean? That's why they're selling like crazy. That's the main thing. That's the big push. Sorry if I kind of stalled a little bit. I was sending Rand the link, so he should be joining soon. All right. Hope you enjoy this. All right. But listen, if you want to see the next generation of PlayStation and Xbox consoles be successful, a key strategy to that is affordability. All right. Both Microsoft and Sony cannot put out a console that's going to take a long time to reach the sub $300 mark. They both have to reach $250 as fast as possible. And the higher price they launch the console, the longer it's going to take. And welcome. We have the King Pony himself, Ran Outdoor.
Yo, what's going on, Rock? You hear me?
What's going on? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Sitting back, listening to you speak some facts, some truth.
Yeah, be careful. People might confuse you for a pony.
Yeah, well, I already out of the Xbox community once. What's
Hey, listen, you gotta let them know you can't kick me out. I'm the man with the million score. I am the Xbox community. You can't be beat.
there was something interesting you said earlier where you talked about Xbox and you didn't know where it would go into the future.
Yeah, maybe you might know more than definitely everybody else. Can you elaborate? Do you have any ideas?
The piece is there. It's right there in front of you. You just it's a streaming service.
Yeah.
Plus with Phil saying the new games. You combine all that stuff and you have a streaming service that'll be ready when all the new games will be coming available to sell said exclusive streaming service to competing platforms like iOS, TVs, Nintendo Switches, and PlayStation. You're on the right track.
Yeah. So like the reason why I say I'm confusing because it's like trying to buy two puzzle sets and then you try to make one big puzzle with two different sets. It doesn't work and maybe my perception or what I'm seeing is wrong. But like when I see Phil talk about stuff like IGN, Polygon, Kotaku, but then when I see Phil talk about MSNBC, Business Insider, it's two different statements or it's shaped differently. Like when he talks to gaming magazines, he has a more Xbox positive spin. But then when he talks to straight up financial news, he's talking about Windows gaming and how that's going to grow. And not so much Xbox.
Well, yeah, they want Xbox to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. When you turn on your TV, they want an app there that is where you could stream Xbox games similar to PlayStation Now. If you have a tablet, if you have a phone, potentially if you have a Nintendo Switch. Although I don't see PlayStation allowing it, to be honest.
Let me ask you this: is Microsoft or Phil looking at it as Xbox gaming, or is he looking at it as Microsoft gaming and Xbox as a device? Because this is one reason why I ask. In one of the financial things, he mentioned about how he wants, gaming to be on every device, phones, tablets, as every device as possible. And he also mentioned about a streaming service. And the question that was asked him, he goes, what about the Xbox platform? Because it sounds like you're going to have everything else. And his reply was, well, there's always going to be a consumer that wants a dedicated device on a TV. So we will always support that. Yeah, but the way he answered that question, it didn't sound like Xbox is the core. The Xbox device is the core strategy. It's just an answer. It's just, we're going to make it because somebody likes it. But our core strategy is just put games everywhere. So is it really Xbox gaming or is it Microsoft gaming with Xbox just being a device?
It is Xbox gaming, but I mean, the corporation is Microsoft. So I mean, I guess but I mean, they look, people just don't want to accept that as their future plan, right? Like Phil and everybody at Xbox has always talked about they want you to be able to play wherever you want to play or wherever you are. If you don't want to buy an Xbox and you play on Windows 10 on the PC, then that's great, right? They've always said that. Now think about what they've talked about. Like you said, the streaming service that's 3 years out, right?
Yeah.
Who would that be for? Xbox already has backwards compatibility. Sony uses PS Now as their backwards compatibility, answer, right? What would an Xbox game streaming service do for Xbox fans? Nothing, because they have the dedicated hardware. So you have to think, who is that service for? It's not for Xbox gamers. It's for gamers who don't have an Xbox or don't have access to it. Well, who would they put it on? Smart TVs, smartphones, tablets, potentially Nintendo, potentially PlayStation.
Yes.
They want it to be everywhere because they view it as like, why sell all this stuff here to a user base of 40 million, 50 million, whatever, when you could potentially sell to everybody who has a TV, everybody who has a phone, everybody who has a PlayStation, everybody has a Switch. You know, I think that's the plan going forward. I mean, whether or not that like comes to fruition is anybody's guess, but I mean, you're reading between the lines, so am I when they talk about this stuff. I think, 3 years from now we'll see, but I think that's the plan. They want Xbox everywhere.
Yeah. When he mentioned streaming, when he said that, I found that interesting because we both know the main reason for streaming is to get access to devices that necessarily don't have the hardware or power to render these games. That's what that was what OnLive was saying. Hey, there's people with PCs that can't play these high-end PC games, so we're going to stream it, and you could get the look and performance of these games without your hardware actually running it. So technically, with the Xbox streaming service, you could technically play Gears of War 4 on a tablet because your tablet is not actually rendering the game. It's just streaming it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
If you're an Xbox fan, you have the hardware there that could run it natively 4K 60 frames while somebody on, the tablet or wherever else is streaming it over the internet. So, I mean, I think that's where it's going, dude. I honestly do. I mean, 3 years is still a long time, but I think that's what they're preparing for. And I think the discussion of Phil saying, look, he just got promoted. He moved out from the guy who's one of the guys who's running the Xbox brand, in my opinion, Terry Myerson, who runs the Windows division. They talking about building a bigger first party, buying studios, because they know to get people to sign up for a game streaming service, you need to have exclusive games people want to play, right? So if you're investing now or last year in exclusive games that are scheduled to come out around the same time they have a streaming service that they're talking about launching, that makes you think they realize that there is value in that to sell to a consumer, because to sell to a PlayStation consumer, a Switch consumer, you're going to need a game that they can't get on their own device. If you're going to sell it to a Switch consumer and it's just third-party games, that's not going to do much for them, especially for a PlayStation consumer. But what if you had a AAA RPG or something like that that was exclusive to Xbox that maybe someone on PlayStation or someone who has like a tablet or a phone or doesn't want to drop the money on Xbox, but hey, maybe I'll subscribe for $20 a month. I'll play some of those games. I think that's kind of the thinking there, personally.
I think that's a good point, because I think Microsoft, and maybe have your view. I think we're at the point where we're probably never going to see like a 360 PS3 generation where Xbox and PlayStation are neck and neck, unless Sony does something drastically wrong. As long as Sony doesn't fuck up, generally PlayStation is going to outsell Xbox simply because it's PlayStation. That's what I get the feeling. Because when I look back over 3 years, what really sold the PlayStation, it was just a competitive price and people just trust the brand. And PlayStations are sold in more regions of the world. I think maybe Phil sees that. He's like, unless Sony does another $600 debacle, this console is going to sell. So why are we fighting them? Why not maybe, as part of our strategy, take advantage? Because let's take Asia. I'm sure no matter what, Phil wants to sell to the Asian market. He wants that market. He wants his games to sell there. It's just hard for him to get there. PC is a good way to get there, but let's look at it this way. If he could sell Killer Instinct 2, right? It's a fighting game. And he could get good sales from Japan just simply finding a way to put it on PlayStation, he's probably like, screw it, fuck it. Put it on PlayStation, I'm going to make the money anywhere, just like I'm going to make the money on PC, on tablets, on phones. It's just pretty much the Windows OS strategy. I don't care if you buy Toshiba, Dell, or Lenovo. You're buying my Windows OS. I'm good.
It's like Killer Instinct's on Steam, right?
Yeah.
And I honestly, I think they would put more games on Steam. I just think they're not really allowed to. I think there's still kind of forces at Microsoft preventing them from doing that. And look, anytime I talk to Xbox people, they're not worried about Sony and Nintendo. What I hear from them is they're always talking about Tencent.
Tencent, they're huge. Yes.
Yeah, they're huge. I think that's who they're worried about, because Microsoft, look, if you look at it as like, hey, if maybe they realize we can't beat Sony, we can't beat Nintendo, especially if we do a dedicated console. But what if we just put our stuff everywhere? Like, I think that's the vision they're going with. Like the CEO, like that. Like, what is Microsoft's main driver right now, revenue wise? What brings them the most money? It's not Windows anymore. Even though it was a company built on Windows, they give Windows for free. It's their Azure servers, right?
It's their servers.
Computing. That is it, and they let anybody use that.
Yeah.
And if you take that to gaming, I mean, could it win? I mean, could that not win, but could that be a successful strategy of letting anybody on any device play your stuff? Potentially, you know, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, maybe that's the winning strategy. Maybe it's not. And I think a lot of people look. I'm not really saying like Halo's going to be on PlayStation or whatever, because who knows? Because let's say Microsoft does have a streaming service. I'm assuming PlayStation would be like, we're not going to let this on, or they'd have to think about it like EA Access, right?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people immediately, when you hear that, you think, well, there's no point in buying an Xbox at that point. Because I've had this conversation with people before. Like, I'm like, well, I think you need to do this, or whatever. And they always say, but you're thinking in terms of winning a console war. That's not what we're trying to do. You have to think bigger. You have to think longer. You have to think long term. Just beating Sony doesn't make us any money, or essentially, or make us what we need to make.
Yeah.
So while everybody's focused on, you know, Xbox lost NPD, so they suck, you know, or Xbox this or Xbox that, they're looking at a broader gaming picture potentially down the road. And will that not pay off? I mean, that's anybody's guess. But I mean, I saw you like picking up the pieces. Like, I think this is what it's going, and I'm on that page too. And it's going to be interesting if it does happen, because then you're going to have a discussion of like, well, if you can get an Xbox that plays all the games natively, or you can get a Switch and stream all the games there, would you do that? Like, if you had that choice, P-Rock, if you could have a PS5 and you paid $400 for, right? But you also could get an Xbox app on your PS5 that you subscribe to for, say, $20 a month, and you could play all the exclusives that Microsoft was building to sell the service. Would you put up with streaming, like game streaming over the internet, or would you just buy an Xbox?
Me personally, I will buy an Xbox. That's only me personally. Only reason for me is I don't want my games tied to the internet, because like I understand we're all connected, but I don't think it's out of reach to. I know I'm not the only person in the world whose router's gone bad, or the service provider just sucks ass. I know I can't be the only one in the world. Like, I have Time Warner, or now they're Spectrum, and this is the best provider in my neighborhood, and they suck ass ever since they merged. I don't have any other choices for a better provider. This is literally the best service I get where I live at. And I could tell you, the routers they gave me broke 4 times. And I don't know, by coincidence, it's usually on a Friday where the stores is closed on the weekend, and I have to wait till Monday to replace the modem. So I'm out of internet, at least in terms of my gaming console. But I got my, you know, single player exclusives and stuff I could play offline. So it doesn't really bother me. But to depend on a streaming service and now I can't play it, that kind of would piss me off. But I could see what you're saying. A lot of people will go with the streaming service because it's cheaper, it's more convenient, it's already on the platform they prefer playing. So yeah, somebody will choose that. Yeah, especially if Microsoft cracks the nut and actually makes it really good and smooth.
Yeah, they've been. You read the same interview I did. They said they wanted to do it in 2012, but it was too expensive. It wasn't feasible. Yeah. But now it is. Now it's economically feasible. Now it's good. I don't know if net neutrality is going to put a kink in that in any way, shape, or form. I know Microsoft are laying their own fiber cables for the eventuality that something like this would happen.
Oh, look at that.
So it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting. You know, like gaming's coming at that point now where it could potentially branch out from just a dedicated console, because there's so many TVs, there's so many phones. You could argue that Sony and Nintendo are basically giving up money by not embracing a wider audience, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think at least here in the States, I don't think the internet speed is good enough to support that. But I mean,
they'll get there. Slowly but surely we'll get there. But I think Microsoft, like you said, and you know, and I think maybe when they bought out Mahong and got Minecraft,
they saw the light.
When they saw the sales of Minecraft on a console, maybe is there a chance where they'd be like, "Hey, what's up, all day? All day's joining us." When they sat down, all right, and they saw Microsoft on PlayStation, you think there was any potential where they sat back down and they thought, is it really worth keeping Halo exclusive to Xbox and PC? Is it really worth keeping Forza exclusive? Is it really worth, keeping Killer Instinct when they see all the sales of how fighters do on PlayStation? You know what I'm saying? Like, the Xbox thinking, do you think there's a potential where they look back and be like, is it really worth keeping our games away from PlayStation when we can make so much money? And the fact is, most Xbox gamers are not going to care, because time and time again, a lot of the reasons why Xbox gamers are Xbox gamers is because of the ecosystem. They got their friends, they like the interface, they like the community. So they're still going to be there. They're not going to leave because they're not, I don't see Crap Gamer becoming a PlayStation fan because Halo 6 is on it. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Xbox gamers are going to stay Xbox gamers, and there's nothing wrong with that. So then, do you think there's a chance that Phil is not really afraid of losing console sales because he knows there's still going to be a dedicated fan base that enjoy Xbox, and they're going to stick with Xbox?
I think so, yeah. I think that's kind of the whole plan. You could sell it to people saying, like, look, we funded all these new exclusives that you guys wanted. They're going to run the best on the Xbox platform. It's also a gaming service that people could stream on their TVs or their iPads. I think that's the message is going to be in the future.
Yeah.
I want to do a super chat real quick. Lionel Bogan, he says, I find it funny how Xbox and Xbots, oh boy, are hyping up the X and downplaying the One S. That's going to be a big problem later with sales because the One S is feeling like a mistake, or who wants to buy a mistake? Hey, so Rand, real question. You got your finger on the pulse. Do you feel the community, the YouTubers, the people out there are hurting the One S now? Because I keep I'm not going to get too into much on my perception, but it just seems like some of the podcasts I hear, they'd be like, oh, I can't go back to the One S. I just can't do it. Do you think that's a bad strategy?
No, because I think the people who are interested in buying a cheap Xbox One S don't listen to podcasts.
Okay, good point. Yeah, good point.
I mean,
very good point.
Buying an Xbox One S for $189 is not listening to Porter Rock and Zaire, fanboy out on Zaire's channel, or is listening to Crap, do what he does. I don't think they're, I think they're younger. I think maybe they're just like getting to that age where they're graduating from 360 to Xbox One or PS3 to PS4. Like, they're not following all this stuff. Maybe they check IGN here and there, but it's the price what brings people in. I mean, Phil's talked about that. He says, the X is for a specific type of gamer, one that wants the premium console experience, the one who knows what a teraflop is and all that stuff. Everybody else is just going to be like, I want the cheapest way to play all these games. I want to play Madden with my friends. I want to play Call of Duty with my friends. I want to
Game Pass.
Yeah, I don't think the podcast, because I don't think those people listen to the podcast, because I mean, honestly, even on mine is what I get 5,000 views for one of my podcasts. That's nothing. It's insignificant, I think sometimes people think the YouTuber like us here in this community have more clout than we really do. I mean, think about it like this. PlayStation they just sold over 1.58 million PlayStation 4s, right? If you take up all the views on all the channels, it probably doesn't even all the subs for all the channels, you don't even really get to 100,000.
Yeah, to be honest, I think all the Xbox channels, PlayStation, Xbox channels combined, you're probably right, don't even have, other than the streamers, not counting the streamers who just stream games. I'm talking about us, that we talk about gaming, Crap, whether it's realistic or fanboyish, Crap Gamers, thing, Mooch, me, Zaire, Jay Bari. I think if you combine all of us, we probably don't even have 100,000 subscribers.
Not even.
You're right. And then in 1 month, 1.5 million PlayStation owners, 1.4 million Xbox owners, and 900,000 Switch. In just 1 month, they already surpassed. Yes, you're right. We're not reaching these people.
And that's just America.
And that's just 1 month. Yeah. What? And that was the point I was trying to, and all day, that was the point I was trying to tell 100 yesterday.
Uh-huh.
He's trying to use his experience on how PlayStation gamer is. And I'm there's 70 million.
He's in a party with 8 people.
Yeah, I'm you're going to tell me the 8 friends that you have, you're going to use them as a demographic of 70 million people worldwide? On how, that's a trip. I'm how you, he's like, well, I have PlayStation guys that play PlayStation, but they talk to me on Xbox Live.
2 guys.
you got like 5 people in LA that do that, and they're probably your high school buddies. Right. You know, they're talking to you because you're their friend. Mm-hmm. So you know what I'm saying? So that was just weird, you know. I mean, I know, you know, like, hey, maybe just help me out here. I need you.
What up?
Hey, Rand, did you hear the GRG podcast yesterday? I don't know if you did.
I was, you know, I will say this. I made a bunch of PUBG videos leading up to the release of PUBG, but unlike other people, I'm actually playing PUBG and not, you know, kind of. I'm not. I've close to 40 hours in it already.
Holy shit!
So
you're just a beast, dude. That's all it is.
I play my games, man. I don't just talk about games on. They
should call you. They should call you Ran Out Beast.
All day knows about all that, you know. All day knows.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, he plays his games, bro. He's in a party every night playing PUBG, bro.
Just call Ran Out Beast.
Ran Out Beast.
Ran Out Monster. You know, but here's the thing, man. All day. Was it me, or was there a little bit of passive aggressiveness going towards me in the podcast?
You get singled out a lot, man. You got to realize that for no reason. Like I'll be in parties and you know people will be going at your name like, man, you haven't talked to Porter Rock. Like, let me know what has he done to get this type of hate. Let me know. I'm curious. I talk to the man all the time. I don't see his preference bothering you that much. You don't even talk to him. So it was a little passive aggressive. I've never seen anybody deflect that well. I mean, he had like a Wonder Woman bracelets on, bro. Like,
cool.
Lemon. One-Way Dragon, bro.
Yeah, bad. I just asked him for the link.
I was like, bitch. I give you the link, bitch.
Yo, Rand. So I don't know if you listen, but Lemon made One-Way Dragon. Shout out to him. He made a comment saying that he made a video, and in the video he talked about, you know, through his research, that Xbox Live generates 4 times the amount of revenue than PSN. All I asked was, can I get a link? That's all I said. I didn't say he was wrong. I didn't say he was right. I just said I would like to see it. Hey, can I get a link? Well, it's too late. It's too late. Why are you going to get a link for? You should do your own research. You need to be up on the game. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, what the hell's happening here? Just give me. I just want to see the content you created. And he flipped out. I'm like, oh, like, yo. So, like, I don't know. I'm like, yo, like, there was a lot. We even talked about, what was it? God of War pre-order. People were like, you know, oh, we need to know a date because we want to pre-order God of War. All I said was you could go on the PlayStation Store and pre-order it now. Sony has it up for pre-order. For what was that? Oh, you're lying. Or 100 asked me, did you fully pay for it or was it partial? I'm like, since when does PSN does
no layaway?
Partial payment? I'm like, there's no layaway plan on PSN. Like, well, what are we doing here? I just answered your question.
Microsoft really doesn't give out how much money they make on Xbox Live. We rarely ever get the breakdown between gold and silver.
I want to see his sources.
That's the reason why I want to see the link to see what he was talking about, because I know they don't publicly release how much revenue they made on Live. Then they don't publicly release how many gold subscribers.
No, I mean, they don't say how many months.
They'll say active users.
Yeah, they don't break down. I mean, back in the 360 era, it was usually half.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, who knows what it is now? I mean, they do make a lot of money, but I've never seen them come out and say, yo, by the way, we made 3 bills, you know, 3 billion or whatever. And saying it's like, what, 4 times over PlayStation?
Yeah, I never seen that. I mean, so that's why I didn't argue with him, because that wasn't the multiplayer podcast. Because if it was, oh man, he would have got an earful. But it's the GRG, and you know they keep it cool. So I was like, hey, let me just see, and you know, let me just look at what he got. Oh, for what was that? I was like, whoa, this dude is bugging. I'm like, this guy's really getting upset, and I just want to see his video that he made, and I'm pretty sure he made it for other people to look at it. So I don't know why he got mad. I was like, what?
People get mad over some of the stupidest stuff. Like, people try to trigger me about you know, say, oh, Xbox lost, you must be upset. I'm like, if you think this stuff bothers me one bit, then oh boy, you must be dealing with some insane fanboys if you think like, oh. So I had a couple messages like, Rand, you must be crying in your sleep tonight, Xbox lost MPD. I'm like, I don't care.
You never hype that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it and I'll analyze it or give my thoughts on it, but I'm not losing sleep over it. I got games to play. Like, I don't know. Some people take this stuff way too seriously, like way too seriously. Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of sad when you think about it. You know, PUBG though, I what do you think about PUBG? What do you think it can get to? I wanted to ask you this, Rock. A million players in 2 days, basically. I mean, I know it's not necessarily technically a million sold, but it'll be a million sold whether it was like today, tomorrow, or the next day, because there's no free trial yet. What do you think it could reach just on Xbox? I'm just kind of curious. What do you think the sales velocity? If it's a million in 2 days, what do you think it'll be by the end of this month?
Well, I could say this game will easily surpass 5 million. Easily. If Halo could sell 5 million, this game will sell 5 million.
It's already
with a bigger fan base. Easily. It's gonna sell easily. I wouldn't be surprised if they tell me 10 million. Would not be surprised at all. This game, the only reason I would say this, it's a very popular shooter. The only thing I could say that I maybe is a little concerned is how many console gamers have the patience for this type of game.
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
I guess that's
the only thing.
Truth, yeah. But I mean, you leave one game going to the next, and there's like 100 people already waiting. I thought there might be some issue trying to get a game, but I haven't really experienced it yet.
Yeah, because I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think they released at a good time. Call of Duty was last month. Battlefront was last month. There's not a big game. Like November ended. There's nothing ever releases in December. The next big game isn't until Monster Hunter World, which is the end of January, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, you had PUBG from the 12th till basically the end of January by itself. Like, not only on on Xbox, but also PlayStation. Nothing releases on PlayStation either. It's like the perfect time to release it. Unfortunately, it's game preview, so it doesn't run very well whatsoever. The frames are pretty bad, but Jesus, man, like the experience I'm having, like I'm 50 hours in, I'm having a blast. And honestly, some people might, hate me in chat for that, or, for this. And I know already some people do hate me in chat, but I think it's sneaking into my top 10 game of the year, dude.
Yeah, if you're having fun, at the end of the day, it's how much fun you're having.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I'll say this in terms of sales. I would say at a minimum, I could see 3 million because I think there's a good, huge multiplayer fan base on Xbox that could reach 3 million.
Yeah.
Once you're talking 5, 6, 7 million, you need the casuals.
That is true.
I don't know if the casual is going to enjoy a game where if you die, now you have to wait a while for the next round.
But because that's what it's really instant.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how instant it is, but I will say this: that is the reason why Call of Duty is so popular. Call of Duty sells to 50 million people because people could go in and out real quick. They don't have to wait a long time. The maps aren't that huge. The games go relatively quick.
Like I said, if you get disconnected from your party, if you back out the game and go back in, it loads you right back in with your
it's a quick, satisfying action. It's really not that advanced. It's really not that complex. Hell, you don't really have to think much. You just go in and you start killing, and people love it. You know what I'm saying? It's a very satisfying, casual environment. That's why that game sells 15 million all the time on one platform, because it grabs so many casuals. They can relate to that, and they don't have to do much work to get into it. PUBG, I haven't played it, so I don't know how much effort it is to get good, whatever, and stuff like that. So it's really going to track how much casuals it can fall in. But I could say at a minimum, the game will easily push 3-4 million. I think there's enough dedicated Xbox multiplayer gamers that will put their time in and get this game up to that point.
You don't think it's pretty crazy PUBG is going to be the best-selling game of the year? Like if you would have predicted the top 20
on the X, you mean between PC and Xbox
in gaming period?
Why aren't they giving it away for free now? For how long?
What do you mean for the year? For the year?
Well, I mean, just the PC version is at 25 million. Just the PC version. Yeah. Call of Duty. Yeah. The only one that's going to come close to that number is Call of Duty.
It's Call of Duty. Yeah. And so that's amazing. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But I will say this on PC. PC gamers love that type of game. They have the patience. They just love that type of game. They've always been into that. Because of that popularity is translating over to console. So we'll see how great it will do on console. I think it's going to do at least 3 million easy. I think. Now, here's my question with this. Because a lot of people, I mean, I'm not sure about the whole exclusive Xbox versus PlayStation. I said this on a podcast. It's going to really come down to Bluehole. Microsoft is going to create a check, and they're going to show it to Bluehole, and they're going to be like, hey, we don't want this on PlayStation. Bluehole is going to look at that check, and then they're going to look at the PlayStation platform fan base. I don't know if Microsoft could write a check big enough to keep that game off of PlayStation if Bluehole has a certain expectation of how it's going to sell on PlayStation. Because make no mistake, it sold 20-something million on PlayStation. I mean, on PC.
Why wouldn't they want to repeat that?
On Xbox, let's say it sells 10 million, 12 million. Why wouldn't they think they could do another 10 to 12 million on PlayStation, maybe more? Which one?
They tried to buy them, Bluehole.
Oh,
a couple months ago.
Oh, Xbox, Microsoft.
Yeah. Z Huge said that they tried to buy them. It was unsuccessful, but it wasn't made public. But then Tencent tried to buy them, and he also said literally every company wants to buy Bluehole. So that's the thing; it's a bidding war now. Yeah. Like, they may think whatever some company offers them isn't high enough. Yeah. But I mean, I think it will come to PlayStation. I think when it finishes in game preview, it'll come more than likely.
But Sony doesn't do that. Sony doesn't care about that.
Well, it depends. I mean, Fortnite was the early access game.
Was it?
Right. Yeah. Do you think this game is ever going to be out of preview? Because I don't think.
Yes, it'll be out of preview. I mean, it may take a while. It may take a year.
A year, or how many years?
It might be on the PS5.
Right. I mean, We Happy Few still in game preview, and that's been in game preview for over a year.
I'm saying these type of games don't come out of preview too often. You know what I mean?
It's releasing officially on PC. It's coming out of early access next week. It's going.
Oh, really?
1.0, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I mean so the game came out in March. It's going 1.0 next week. So I mean, what is that? 9 months, basically.
So it's for Xbox another year, right?
No, it actually should be faster because the main coding's on PC, so they're not like starting from scratch, right?
Well, I always heard that like Xbox gave a lot of resources, like because Bluehole had no interest in a piece and a console port because they just didn't have the people to make it. Then Xbox came in, basically kind of did the port themselves for the most part. So the question about getting it to PlayStation, it's like either they would have to hire people to do the PlayStation port, or they're literally just going to port the Xbox code over 1-to-1. But then at that point, you run into like kind of legalities. Like since Microsoft published and paid for it, do Microsoft own that code for the Xbox version? They're not allowed to use that code on PlayStation. I mean, who knows what's going to happen though, man? Like I'm actually kind of surprised. It did 1 million in 2 days, right? And think about this for a second. Sunset Overdrive took forever to get to 1 million copies sold.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, it's a gaming trend, bro.
I'm honestly not surprised.
Well,
like I play. I'll be honest. I play Sunset Overdrive. It's a good game.
Yeah,
but I'm not surprised. I'm surprised it's not popular on Xbox. I'm actually not surprised. I think that game would have sold more. Not to do a Xbox versus PlayStation war, but I think that game is more the taste of PlayStation fans than it is Xbox fans. I just see that game would have been more popular. Because Insomniac is it's kind of like I think Xbox fans are really. I'm not saying that's the only thing they like, but a good shooter will really resonate. Like Lawbreakers, I honestly believe Cliffy B would have done better going PC Xbox than PC PlayStation with Lawbreakers. Because I think
the only reason
Xbox gamers would have.
The reason it wasn't on Xbox is because Microsoft wouldn't pay for it. See, that's the thing people don't get. Like, they flew out to see Lawbreakers, both Microsoft and Sony. And Cliffy was like, $10 million to be on your platform. Sony's like, here's $10 million. Microsoft's like, no thanks, and walked away.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
That's what happened.
Well, maybe Microsoft saw the flop in it because
the game flopped on PC. If you're paying them to bring your game to the platform, you're kind of invested into it. Do you think Sony's paying whatever they paid to get Lawbreakers on their platform when it didn't do well? I'm sure Sony's probably like, we shouldn't have done it. Microsoft decided to, use that money and invest in PUBG, which is going to turn out to be the better choice there. But it's kind of interesting because I see people always, complain about Rise not getting a sequel and Sunset Overdrive not getting a sequel and all these Xbox games early in the gen not getting a sequel. And there's PUBG doing 1 million in 2 days. Probably doing 2 million in a week, maybe 3 million by the end of the year. 3 million. Yeah. Like by the end of the year.
It's clearly show us what they really want. They didn't really want Rise. They didn't really want Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, this is throwing stuff and see if it sticked, and it didn't, so they walked out.
Yeah, and I could clearly see, but I think most of us been said that Microsoft Xbox One needed its big multiplayer IP for the year, for this gen. Granted, we have Halo and Gears, but those were franchises that started by other by the previous Xbox. OG Xbox had Halo,
We need a
360
genre-
had Gears.
a
We needed an IP to define Xbox One.
Right.
And the closest right now is PUBG, even though it started on PC, but between consoles, that big hit is PUBG.
Nah,
That's their
man,
big
I-
multiplayer phenom.
But to me, I think
Please don't say Sea of Thieves.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh my God, man.
Sea of Thieves, man, that was a big multiplayer game.
Do you guys? Oh shit! Do you really guys think that? I mean, I understand it might be a good game, but do you really think Sea of Thieves multiplayer could rival Halos and Gears multiplayer?
It has to click with people, and if it clicks with people, it's going to be the next phenomenon. If it doesn't, then it's going to be off to the wayside. Period.
Okay, so when you say click, what's there that's without breaking NDA? What's there that's going to make it click? And please don't tell me a beer and a fucking box of pizza with friends. Because you could play Uno and do that.
I think it boils down to the fun factor, honestly.
Okay.
Minecraft clicked, PUBG clicked. What else? What else? Multiplayer games click. League of Legends, Overwatch. Like it just had something about it. The fun factor was at an all-time high for most people. So if this game can't deliver that right off the bat when you load up the game, then they're in trouble. Period.
Okay.
You see,
all right.
But it's not.
What do you think about it?
It's not the multiplayer like you would think. This isn't like Call of Duty multiplayer. I liken Sea of Thieves to Destiny. I liken Sea of Thieves to Ghost Recon. Right.
Okay.
It's a co-op game that you play with your friends, which are extremely popular. Look, Destiny 2 is the second best-selling game of the year. Ghost Recon's the fourth best-selling game of the year. People crave that kind of co-op experience where they can just get in with your friends and just have a good time. Right. I think that's what Sea of Thieves is. It's based, and you're going to laugh, but Microsoft considers it Pirate Destiny. It's literally their version of Destiny, but with pirates.
Okay.
That's
Let me ask you this.
Game is.
Without breaking NDA, because I know some of you is trying it and you have rules, is it in a sense like Destiny to where you have missions, you get gear, and when you do all these little things, it culminates to like a raid or something that has to culminate? Because here's the thing. One of the things I think a lot of people like Division, people still play it.
The end game.
But one of the big letdown of Division is there's no end game. Like we're doing all this for what? We need that culminating final thing. And on Destiny, it's the raid. We're doing everything we're doing is for the raid. Does Sea of Thieves have something like that? Because I can't see people spending 80 hours getting gear and you don't do nothing with it other than spend another 80 hours getting more gear. Like you have to culminate with something. Like, do you face Blackbeard in this multi-events raid grouped up together?
There's also that there's a Kraken sort of like raid thing. But I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't see it as like Destiny, where it's like you're doing this one specific thing so you can gear up for this. Because a lot of people don't do that. Even on Xbox, when I was looking at the achievement percentages, only like 18% have actually completed the raid. P-Rock.
Jesus Christ.
And I think it's about the similar number on PlayStation. For a lot of people, Destiny is just that outlet to just talk to their friends while they're playing a game. Because it has those great shooting mechanics. It doesn't really have a story that you can be bothered with, so you can just talk to your friends while the ghost is jibber-jabbering in your ear. So Sea of Thieves is similar to that. You get a crew, or you can play it by yourself. You're on a ship, right? So you can kind of talk to each other, sail to the next thing, try to find the treasure, so on and so forth, fight the pirates. But they have a lot of faith in this game. And honestly, I'm starting to think like, look, do you know why they shut down Fable Legends?
I heard so many things, it's almost impossible to tell now. Ultimately, they're not making enough money. I could just, simply put, but...
So I was told one of the biggest reasons they shut down Fable Legends was because people would play a game, they would turn it off, and they would delete it off their hard drive. There was
wow.
And it wasn't just the fans who were in betas, but it was also Xbox employees. It was supposed to be a free-to-play game that would have success off the whales, but the user engagement they saw was beyond reproach. They couldn't do it, right? So they had to cancel the game, shut down the studio. They're seeing the exact opposite with Sea of Thieves. They're seeing every single PlayStation have more and more users. Nobody's deleted the game off their hard drives because they have all this information. So they're seeing this game that is going to have a living, thriving community, which is why they're behind it so much. It's like the polar opposite from Fable Legends, which was free to play, and this is $60.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting because it's not the type of game that you would throw in a console war list. You know what I'm saying? Like Sea of Thieves isn't God of War. Sea of Thieves isn't Spider-Man. Sea of Thieves isn't Detroit Become Human, which I'm anticipating those 3 games more than any other games next year. You know? But maybe that's what the larger Xbox community wants. Not the ones that are on Twitter, not the ones that are on podcasts, right? Yeah. Like maybe that's what the people want. Maybe they spent
the social side. The social side, the social side of Xbox, guys.
Yeah, clearly people didn't want Rise. Clearly people didn't want Sunset Overdrive. Clearly people didn't want Recore, right? Yeah. Spent the whole generation trying to figure out what its users wanted. They knew they want shooters of some kind. They know they like the games that last for a long time. And it's like, maybe this is what people want. And I know there will be people discussed it in chat about Sea of Thieves. And it's like, hey, I'm a single player gamer. I'll play if Sea of Thieves comes out the 20th and God of War is coming out the 22nd. I know what I'm playing on the 22nd, and it's not Sea of Thieves. You know what I'm saying? But I think Microsoft views it a little bit differently. Maybe the silent majority is like, we want a game like that. And it's going to be interesting to see when it comes out, because all I hear about this game from people who played it and the journalists like at IGN and all these places, they love Sea of Thieves. You know? And it's going to be a game that is trashed, you know, like on podcast, all over the place. But it might be the type of game that succeeds out of nowhere.
You know, you can bring up a good point, because I think Sony and both Microsoft did the same thing, and they just realized this is not what the fan. And bear with me for a minute. So in the beginning, Microsoft did release a lot of single player experiences. It sure had a multiplayer mode like Uncharted, but the game was primarily single player. Like Rise had a multiplayer mode, but let's be honest, Rise was more about the single player. Same thing with Infamous. Quantum Break didn't have a multiplayer mode at all. You know, I think D4. So Microsoft did release a lot of single player experiences, and like you said, the community didn't want it. This reminds me of PlayStation last gen with the PS3. They released a shitload of multiplayer. They got Haze exclusive, Mag, Warhawk, Starhawk, Resistance 1, 2, and 3. It was just multiplayer.
Nobody gravitated to it at all.
No one cared.
Nope.
So is it a possibility that Sony saw like, hey, we tried, but the games that were successful last gen was The Last of Us, Uncharted, Infamous, Bloodborne. PlayStation gamers don't really want dedicated multiplayer. They want single player experiences. So that's what we're going to focus on PlayStation 4. And maybe Xbox, Microsoft realize we tried. You guys don't want it. We're just going to go back to what we know best, multiplayer experiences, and just stick to what we do best. You think that both companies are playing to their strength? Let the third party provide whatever, you know, fill in the gaps. We're just going to focus on what we think is going to be best based on what we see. Because Microsoft clearly saw Xbox community don't want single player experiences. Sony's actually saw PlayStation gamers don't really want exclusive multiplayer experiences. They don't sell. So they're just going by what's being sold. So you think that's pretty much what they're doing?
I think they're both researching for the type of games that the audience wants. Like everybody knows, like the audience wants Overwatch and Rainbow Six and Call of Duty and Battlefield, but it's tough when you're making a game that's really expensive and you have to sell it to your audience. Like, well, what does your audience want, right?
And they could clearly see. Shay, shout out to Jay Fonzarelli, $5 super chat. He said because Puerto Rock is awesome and I love the 2 guests.
Shout out to Fonz.
Thank you, Fonz.
Fonz is awesome. Fonz is a great guy. Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see P-Rock, because I think it's going to go one of 2 ways. Sea of Thieves is either going to be this huge success that nobody saw coming and that people are talking about and streaming and doing all that stuff, or it'll just be a major flop. I think it's kind of like those 2 instances. I don't know.
I kind of disagree on that stance, because even, let's say, I don't think it has to be a huge success. Because a game like that, especially if they're trying to do like engagement, provide updates where they sell DLC, you know, just constantly, you know, games as a service, constantly putting in money and people buy it. You don't have to have a huge group. You just have to have enough that they will constantly buy your stuff. And in the long run, you'll make the profit because the engagement is there, and that engagement will last a year, 2 years, 3 years. Do you think that these have to actually be a big breakout hit like PUBG or Overwatch? You don't think like maybe, let's say if it sells 1 million, but out of those million sales, people are just constantly engaged and putting in money.
I mean, if it
buying
sells
new
a
hats,
million, but everybody playing it and spending like 10 grand on microtransactions, maybe
yeah.
it's a different story. But
yeah, you see
what I'm saying? A lot of
saying?
money on this game. This game has been in development for some time. You know, I don't think their goal is to only sell 1 million copies. I think their goal is to sell, 10 million. I think they want Minecraft again.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think both for Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, they need to stay away from that mentality? Because that is a dangerous expectation to say we're going to put in revenue and our expectation to get back is 10 million sales. Because not a lot of games do that.
No.
So it's like, are we at the point where, because I remember back in the days, people, the minimum was 1 million and they're happy with it. If the game sold 7 million, oh my God, it just quadrupled the expectation. But isn't it kind of dangerous to say we're going to invest money and it better sell 12 million? Like, how can you say it better? Like,
well, I'm not saying
dangerous.
I think they're built it to make more than 1 million, but game development's expensive. It's not cheap like it used to be back in the PS2 days where you could spend a couple mil and have a game. Now you're talking like 70 million, 50 million, 100 million. Grand Theft Auto 5 cost what, $250 million to make?
But was it making it or advertisement in combination? Because I'm confused. Because everybody, like some people say expensive development, but then you hear an article saying, well, 50% of it was advertisement. So I'm like, so it wasn't really 200 million, it was 100 million. You just want to spend another 100 on advertisement. You know what I'm saying? And I get the whole advertisement. In order, if you want to sell big, you got to go big. I get that. But when I see, like, let's say, for example, I mean, I know it's a smaller title, but let's say, like, Lost Solo Side. I don't know if you heard of it or been tracking it. The game, it's RPG, and it was initially started by just one dude, and the game looks gorgeous. Like, graphically, it looks just like Final Fantasy.
I played
graphics. And it's one dude.
It's a team of 8 now.
Now it's a team of 8 now. You see what I'm saying?
Well, no, they were so impressed by it that they had to fund it.
And I remember reading an article last gen on Metro. It was made by like 15 people from Lithuania. It was like a small development team. And the game is graphically beautiful. And it wasn't like the game only cost like $12 million. And it was made by a small group. And the game rivals AAA development big budget games. Is the industry missing something from these smaller developers on how they can make a graphically and an intense game at a subsidized cost? Like, is there something missing? Because like Final Fantasy, they spent millions making that game, yet there's this one Korean dude who graphically makes a game equivalent graphically. May not be popular because it's not Final Fantasy, but just to build and look at it, he spent a lot less money making a game that's graphically and as big, or maybe almost as big, maybe not too big. I don't know the size. Let's just say graphically. We'll stick to that. Graphically looks as good as Final Fantasy, which has a lot more money in development.
You answered
if I was Square Enix, I would be like, I would look at my Final Fantasy developer, right? If I was a bigwig at Square Enix, my question would be asked, how did this one dude make the game look as good as our game, and I spent 10 times the amount of money? What are we missing here? Like what are we doing?
Well, you kind of answered your own question, like right in there.
Yeah.
Where'd you say the Metro guys were located at?
Like Lithuania or some shit. It was a European country.
Well, there you go.
I forgot.
Because $12 million in Lithuania will get you a hell of a lot more than $12 million in Santa Monica, California.
So everybody moved to Lithuania then.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of these studios are overseas where you can get more for your money. Like CD Projekt Red is not in the States; they're overseas. Some like what they say, Horizon Zero Dawn was 50 million, but that was made in like Sweden, where there's a lot of like tax breaks for companies like that. If that game was made here in the States and California, that game would have been way more expensive.
Oh, because
a lot of it has to do about where the game's made. Because they can get away with a lot more things,
okay. So it's pretty much the salaries, the tax breaks, resources.
I mean, because that's what it is. Like you're paying someone a salary. If you have a team of 50 and you're paying them each, say, 50 grand a year, to make this game. But then you're Rockstar, you're the biggest company, you're wherever you're at, and you have 200 people, but you're paying them 150 grand a year. You know, I mean, because you kind of got to pay them living wages for wherever you're at. So that has a lot to do with it, you know?
Yeah, it makes sense. That's actually a good point. Yeah. Especially like if you're developing like in San Francisco, Santa Monica, all these expensive places, it's true. You're not going to give a developer 30,000 and have them slave 14 hours a day. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Is there any other topics you want to cover before we head out? Any questions?
I was gonna say, who's got December, P-Rock? Who's winning December?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Interesting.
No Xbox One X sales to help. Switch is going to be slow and steady. You know, I mean, it didn't break 1 million in November, but maybe it sells another 1 million. You know, regular PlayStation 4 is not discounted this month. Only the Pro and VR is. I'm not really seeing any discounts for the S, although it would have had a few days from the original promotion from November that bled over. I know PUBG is out.
That's the dark horse. I'm gonna tell you the dark horse is what, because you know MPD closed out on the Saturday after Black Friday.
Yeah, it closed out on the 25th.
Now, if I remember correctly, it was either late Sunday or Monday where Xbox One S was like #1 on Amazon, and it stood #1 for like a while, right? So all those big sales is really for December. You know what I'm saying? And by that time, the Sony sales was already sold. The hell, Sony was already out of its $199 by Saturday. Before that, so it was already done by Friday. So really, Sony didn't get no big push for December. So I'll be honest, you might reasonably see Xbox winning December MPD because of how late in the game Xbox One S sold, and it sold great. You know, the Sunday after, the Monday, the Tuesday, and that's all December sales right there. So all those huge Xbox One S sales are really for December.
Yeah, and I think the PlayStation only discounted the Pro, right? The 350.
Yeah, it's only 350, so they don't have a 199 discount no more for the PlayStation.
Sony went out. Do you think Sony went all out to win November?
Yes, I think they made a statement. And maybe this is just me thinking about it, but I think by Sony showing that with new hardware, Xbox can outsell PlayStation, or maybe it was just I mean, I don't know. I could make up stuff. I will say this though. At least within the community, within the Xbox channels, PlayStation channels, the argument of people buy consoles because of the superior version of multiplats, I think that argument's dead. I don't think there's nothing to say that there's no information now to validate that claim now. Because if that claim was true, Xbox should have won November MPD. They should have won overall in different parts of the world. There's nothing to prove that statement now. To say that's why people buy consoles.
I have a counter to that argument.
Do you? Uh-oh.
Mid-gen refresh has never happened before.
I agree.
Right? Was anybody really expecting Sony guys to go up and pick an Xbox One X up to help overcome that deficit of people are stuck where they're at. They're not.
I agree.
Flipping. So you have the first time ever this gen, the most expensive, the most powerful console being the cheapest console, which never has happened before. Right. Then you also have mid-gen refresh happening, which has never happened before. So I don't know if you can conclusively say that, multiplats and power don't matter, because this is a gen of a lot of firsts, right? Like, I think there's some truth to multiplats selling consoles, because if you look at like the top 10 selling games of the year, they're all multi-platforms. If you look at the top 10 games on PlayStation and Xbox that sold for November, it's all multi-platform games. Multi-platform games sell the consoles. The exclusives, like, give a little spice, little like icing on the cake, and people choose where they go. But I mean, judging from the sales, people choose the multi-platforms. I mean, that's at least that's what I saw.
Yeah. Well, you are correct that the multiplats did sell the most. But my argument was the console with the best version of multiplats generally is not going to be, especially if you have to pay for it, right?
Right. But my argument is still, it's a mid-gen refresh that has never been done before in the history of gaming. It's also a new console at $500. I don't think you could extrapolate, that by saying like, oh, well, this means this because this is a gen of first with a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this was like the third time there's been a mid-gen refresh and it still was going that way, then you could probably definitively come to that conclusion. But I don't think you can. I don't think. I don't know. I'm trying.
I'll say this. I know what you're saying. I will say the reason why I came to this conclusion I knew was because while it wasn't a mid-gen refresh, I saw a scenario where more powerful hardware, new hardware, was outclassed by weaker, cheaper hardware simply because most people wanted that product. And that was the PS2. You know, and I know some people say, you know, well, the Xbox didn't have a brand name. You know, when the Xbox 360 launched in November 2005, it lost to the PS2. More people still, even though it was a new console generation, new hardware, it was pushing high definition. More people went out with the PS2 and bought that. Now, of course, people say, hey, you know, it's the brand name. It was still new. I'm like, okay. Then explain 2006, a year later. So Xbox had, you know, Xbox 360 had a year later to build its ground up. Gears of War came out that month. It was the highest selling game of that month. And it still lost to the PS2. And not only did it lose to the PS2, but the PS3 lost and the Wii. So you had two more new pieces of hardware, and yet people were still more comfortable going with the PS2 because it was popular. A lot of people going after it. It was the console everybody else had, and people just wanted to play on the PS2. You know, it took a long time before the new generation of consoles was able to outsell. I think it was like the middle of 2007 where finally it was PS2 lost an MPD. It was like early 2007. PS2 was winning MPDs all the way deep into 2007, maybe March, April, I can't remember, you know? And I'm like, if you build a console that's cheap and everybody is happy to playing the games there,
the
graphics is not going to change that. It's not going to change a comfortable system that's affordable and you want to play games there because console gamers ain't really that big on graphics. The hardcore enthusiasts are, but not the average console gamer. It's going to be hard to tell a gamer, hey, pay an extra $300 for graphics. And they're going to be like, well, that's not me. I'm happy. A lot of my friends have this. All the games are here. They're cheap. I'm cool with just getting this. I'll upgrade to better graphics in 3-4 years when I'm ready. And I think that's what the console gamer is, majority, you know. When Xbox One originally launched in 2013, a lot of people said for $500, you know, it almost sold 1 million on its first try. I'm like, yes, that's true. But you also have to factor in, it was almost 8 years since we had any console. I think at that month, we were starving for a saltine cracker. You know, you got us locked up in a closet with no food, and now you're serving us crackers. We'll buy anything at this point. We don't care. Just give me this new product because you starved us for 8 years. So a lot of hardcore gamers just jumped at the chance just to buy whatever because they didn't have anything for like 7 to 8 years. And I think a lot of people confuse that with what the One X was going to do. I agree. I don't think a lot of Xbox One gamers jumped at the One X because they were comfortable with what they had, especially the people who bought the One S. I didn't see a lot of, like, if a person bought the Xbox One S this year, they're not going to buy a new console 8 months later because that just doesn't make sense. You know, I can understand like the hardcore, you know, like you, Crap, Zaire, that's what you do. But if a person bought an Xbox One S in June, they probably not going to buy a One X 5 months later. They already made their decision. No. They're happy. It's affordable, and they're going to get great games.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
Happy. So like we're talking about mid-gen refreshes halfway in a cycle when everybody's chosen where they want to play at.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that's what I'm saying. Like that's kind of why I disagree with the whole like, well, the power and the multiplats because, you know, it's the middle of a gen. Like you're not getting a PlayStation gamer to switch to Xbox. You're not getting an Xbox gamer to switch to PlayStation. This gen was decided when Xbox decided to, you know, bundle Connect with it, make a less powerful system, and announce it for $500. And then Sony was like, "Yeah, it's $400, and here's how you share games." The gen was over right then and there.
Yeah.
Right. People just didn't realize it. I don't know. Like,
here's the thing. Do you think we're gonna have another mid-gen refresh?
You mean like PS5 Pro?
Yeah, PS5 Pro and Xbox One 9, Y or Z or whatever. The same thing we did. I just want to see how. Right now I'm 80% no, 20% yes. Only because I'm waiting to see how the One X does over the next year or two. But from what I see from Sony, with the Pro only doing 20% of the sales, I just can't reasonably see that Sony dedicated research and design, manufacturing, which rivals the Slim, yet they're only getting 20% of the effort. Like, I can't see you put in that much money in research and design to build the Pro, right? Which rivals what you do with the Slim, yet the Slim is doing 80% of the work and 20% of the work is Pro. I look back and be like, what was the point of the Pro if majority of people are buying the Slim anyway? Like, what did we really do with the Pro? Like, I wonder if Sony's looking at it like, most people are buying the Slims. Like, did we really need to release a Pro? Well, considering how low it sells?
Andrew House said the reason they did the Pro was because from their internal research, they found that about halfway through a gen, people leave PlayStation and Xbox and go to PC.
Now, so I read that quote. Did the Pro really stop that? Like, do you see anything in the Pro that's going to make a person be like, you know what, I'm going PC gaming? Is it really doing anything to stop a console gamer from being like, wow, I don't have to go PC now? Because I don't. I'll be honest. I'm going to keep it real. I don't either, but I think like if you want to go PC, like if a gamer finally is interested in PC, I think it's more than just graphics. I think they want control. They want to be able to play the games at 60 frames. They want to be able.
They just want to steal games, bro.
Or steal games. They found out that they could pirate games, or they could find out that they actually could have every game at 60 frames by adjusting the settings, or they could use cheat codes, or they could use free mods, or the online is free. I think it's a lot more than just simply 4K.
So do you think that was just the reason they made up and not the real reason then?
I'll be honest. I think the reason, I don't know why Sony made the Pro. I think most of it, it has to do with VR, but I think that's a stupid reason considering, I think VR is doing fine, but it's not like VR is a breakout hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where people are like, oh my God, I love VR and this Pro will make it better. I gotta get me a Pro. I don't think that's happening.
Microsoft and Sony both came to the same conclusion independently of each other that they both needed refreshes.
Yeah.
So, there must be something going on.
I'll be honest. This is what I think. I'll be honest. This is what I think. This is what I truly think. I think Sony and Microsoft actually liked the 8-year gen.
They want to extend it.
I think they like that. I think they like that concept. Instead of worrying about constantly making hardware every 5 years, I think they actually like the 8-year gen. The only thing, they decided to create mid-gen refreshes so that way they won't hear the bitching that people are still playing on old hardware. I honestly think they like the 8-9-year gen because it gives them more time to make games for that generation, actually maximize as much games as they can, and they release these mid-gen refreshes just simply to make people shut up. Because think about it. What if, like Microsoft, we'll use Xbox One right now because I think your community, I ain't gonna say but the Xbox community is more happy with what they got than what the PlayStation community got. I have a feeling Xbox One X was much more accepted than the Pro was, right? So Xbox One gaming started in 2013, right? Do you see any issues with Xbox Gen going all the way out to 2021, which would make it 8 years? I don't think Xbox will have a problem because they got a console that is doing phenomenal things in terms of graphics and performance. So I think you guys will be cool with another 4 years of Xbox One gaming.
I would have been cool regardless if a new system came out or not.
Yeah, but you play everything, But think about it this way: we probably let's say if the gen don't start for Xbox to 2021, I don't think you're gonna have a lot of people complaining like we did back in the 360 gen. Because by 2012, especially when the Wii U released, there was a lot of PS3 and Xbox fans pissed the fuck off that Nintendo got a new console, right? But they didn't, and now they have to wait another year.
But were Sony fans even asking for Pro though? I don't think they were they?
I don't think they were. Because again, I think most PlayStation fans were asking for more games, but maybe Sony wants to extend this generation to 2020, 2021, and by the time they hit 2019, they hope maybe fans won't be pissed off that they're stuck with the PlayStation 4 for like 6 years, and now they want new hardware. Well, if you want new hardware, get the Pro. It's already out. But we're not starting this gen until 2021. So if you want better graphics, get the Pro. But I don't think Sony did a good job, at least compared to Microsoft. Because, let's say like 2019, 2020, a person who bought the OG Xbox One, they're going to be tired of the graphics. Well, you have the Xbox One X. 4K textures, 4K assets. Play that because you're not getting a new Xbox until 2021, 2022. So don't come bitch at us. In my opinion, I think that's what these consoles are really doing. Because like, let's say like me, let's say if I am tired of PlayStation 4 graphics by 2019, all Sony's going to tell me is, well, we got the Pro. Go play that. But we're not giving you a new console. Here you go. Enjoy. Same thing with an OG Xbox One gamer. 2019, OG Xbox, man, this console's getting old. Well, we got a One X for you. 4K assets, 4K graphics, bells and resolution, everything you need. Go buy that. But we're not giving you a new Xbox until 2021. Deal with it. I honestly think that's what these consoles are for. So that way no one bitches in 2019, 2020 when we don't get new actual generation consoles.
What do you think about PSVR moving forward? With say the next gen is because people have asked me that Sony's gonna include it with the system. Like PS5 will include PSVR as standard, and I said there's no way
they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that.
No,
they're not gonna do that. They're gonna keep it the way it is. I think the main focus is try to get it cheaper. Like even now, I'm interested in PSVR because of Paris Games Week. I wasn't interested before, especially when it was $500. I was like, hell no.
I played it at a PSX, and I'm a believer now, 100%.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, but at $500, I wasn't even looking at videos. I wasn't even looking at YouTube videos. Like I honestly couldn't care less. I pay PSVR of $500. I'm like, the thing costs more than the console I own. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Now that it's $200, my interest peaked.
Yeah,
when I saw more games,
for a limited time though.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, imagine next year, and then the year after.
I think the problem with VR is it came out too soon. It was too expensive. It needed to come out with better hardware that was cheaper, and maybe would have been adopted more quickly.
I agree with that. But at the point, here's my thing. In order to get something cheaper, it has to come out at a certain point. It's like Blu-ray. Blu-ray's dirt cheap. But when it came out like at $1,800.
Well, the only
tech has to come out expensive.
That's doing well is the PSVR. Like Vive and Oculus are not doing very well. And they've been trying to drop prices a lot. It's just, and Sony themselves said that they're not comfortable, being the market leader on VR. So and by the way, all day I'm not surprised you like it because you're a pony now,
Hell yeah, he's.
I've seen the Twitter threads.
I call him the blue bot.
Hey, I'm the blue bot, bro.
That one guy was really going in on you, man.
Oh, you saw that, man? These cowards?
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh man, there's a Twitter,
man.
I'll be honest. I'll tell people up front that on Twitter, because I'll be honest, you can't have. It's very hard to have a cool calm collected on Twitter because most of the time people misconstrued what you're typing. Right? Or like if you type 3 or 4 Twitters, they don't read it in order. They only read that specific tweet and they take it out of context. So I gave up trying to have real smart conversation. Like if we're gonna do good conversation, we'll do it on a podcast because you can't misconstrue what I'm saying. So Twitter, I just take Twitter or the DM. That's true. Have a good conversation with DMs. But I take Twitter for what it is. It's a cesspool of just shit talking. Hey, have fun. You know what I'm saying?
I like spatulas and spoons. I like to stir up shit.
Yeah, that's all it really is. There's not much you could do on Twitter and stuff like that, and stuff. But damn, you made me lose track. I'm always talking about because all day was getting hammered and I was laughing. It was pretty funny.
I know, man.
But I'll be honest, that's my feeling on this whole mid-gen refresh. I think it's gonna come to the point where 2019. I'm telling you, we're not gonna see new consoles in 2019. Maybe not even 2020. And that's when gamers are gonna be like, "We need new hardware. We need new hardware." And the answer is going to be, hello, Pro and One X. They're there. They got HDR. And I think Microsoft is at a better position because I think they did a better job of saying we got more powerful hardware. So relax. You're not going to get a new Xbox till 2021, 22. But if you want something now, this is what you got. You got an immense powerful console.
Just created a little gap or a little bridge, just for the next generation, man. That's all.
I honestly think they like this 8-year. I think they like it. I think it
gives them more time, and it gives them more, just more time. Just buys them time to develop more games. Period.
Yeah, look at Sony. Their games, a lot of their games, it was 7 years in development. You can't have a 5-year console cycle if it takes that long to make a game. By the time the console's over, by the time your game is done, you went a whole gen without making one game. If it's a 7-year development,
the crazy thing about that is when the new generation came out in 2013, what was the compelling software then?
Yeah, the biggest game of 2013 was The Last of Us.
Yeah,
and that was a PS4. Yo, I remember like I said, I will never buy another $600 console because I bought the PS3 right for $600. Never again would I do it. That's when I became the cheap ass. That's when Cheapskate Porter Rock was born. Because after that, I was like, I pay $600 to play fucking MotorStorm. You are bugging, Sony. I would never do this shit again, right? But I remember in 2007, one of the best games I played that year was a PS2 game, which came out, God of War 2. And it wasn't a backwards compatible like old game. It was brand new, day one release. A fucking PS2 game was one of the best games I played on the PS3. And I was like, this is fucking sad. Like, this is, I will never do this again. I would never buy a launch console for $600. I'm not doing that. And then that's when Cheapskate Porter Rock was born. I got tired of that. You see what I'm saying? But, console, these games are getting so long into development. I don't think we can have, I don't think we could reasonably ever have a 5-year console cycle if a game takes 3 to 4 years to make, and maybe even up to 7. Because technically, if you have a 5-year console and at the same time you start that game, the console generation will be over and your game is still 2 years into the development cycle.
Right. I'm still cooking. Wait.
I'm still making the eggs, ma. Like, what are you doing? Keep that console going. Like, I don't know. I can't explain it. What do you think, Rand, about this?
I mean, since the gens, last gen, the games took long to make. Now they're taking even longer. Then that would even imply that next gen, the games will take even longer, right?
Like, at a certain point, something's got to break. Like, you can't have a game that takes 10 years to make.
Right, but you're saying they made the systems, the mid-gen refreshes this year because they knew games took a long time to make, and they knew people would want fancier graphics, so they did the mid-gen refresh, right? So say next gen starts 2020.
Yeah.
And because games are even more, every game's got to be 4K, so more development time, so games are going to take even longer. The gen's going to have to be longer.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that also mean that at some point they're going to also have to do mid-gen refreshes for people that want even better hardware?
That's true. They might have to do 2 mid-gen refreshes. There's going to be a mid-gen refresh and a third quarter refresh. It could be. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Somebody at a certain point has to realize we have to focus on creating tools to push games out faster. Somebody has to break that nut because I can't see games becoming 7-8 year cycles. Somebody has to find a way to make engines where they can produce games at a faster rate. Or we're just going to see rehashes. And
what do you, okay, so PlayStation 5. Okay, so it's a really big jump over X, obviously, a couple years later, 3 or 4 years later, comfortably does 4K on every game.
Yeah.
Maybe even gets to 60. What does the refresh even do at that point? Does that mean everything's 4K 60? Because what are we shooting for after that? 8K? I mean, or is it like, okay, the PS5, that's as good as it's gonna get because it can nail 4K without any problems. It can do 60. Well, it can do 4K 30, 100%. Some games can, do 60, but it's like, what's the refresh for at that point? I mean, I guess you could say you could do a slim version of it so you can kind of get the components down, sell it for a cheaper price. But what would you necessarily need a better version for? Because it ain't going to be 8K TVs, and 8K just wouldn't be doable from video game standards. So it's like, at that point, what are you making a mid-gen refresh for?
So let's say like this. So the gen starts 2020, let's say, right? And then maybe, let's say 2024 mid-gen refresh. So we're talking, what, 7 years from now? So 7 years, right? 2007, I don't know. It's like, would 8K be a thing in 2024? I don't know. It depends. Will 8K be big in 2024?
So you're gonna? Are we gonna have fanboys saying my system can do 8K texture and your can't?
Yo, we're gonna be old men and they're gonna brag about 8K textures and 4K looks like soupy. Like, I'll be done. Like if 2024 people rag in this 4K and it looks like soupy textures, I'm done. I will give up. I will shut my channel down. I'm done. I'm not doing this. Because to be honest, how sharp is screens gonna get? Like, once you hit native 4K, like, is 8K really gonna be that big of a difference? Like, really? Like, how well is that pimple gonna look on a TV screen? Like, is it gonna get to the point where you're looking at your own reflection? Is TV technology gonna get to that point where you're literally looking at real life? Like, you can't tell the difference between looking out the window and looking at a TV screen?
I don't know, but it's crazy to think about. And the thing is, they're thinking about it because they have to be. Sony and Microsoft have to be thinking about this because consoles take such a long time to, plan, produce, manufacture that Sony's already thinking about all this stuff as well as Microsoft. So I don't know, I've been kind of going in my head about when next gen starts, and you make a lot of sense saying that why would Sony cut off their cash flow?
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 is doing tremendous. 2019 doesn't make a lot of sense, but maybe they want to get the head start on next gen. I mean, who knows? What if all their announced games are done in 2019? What if Last of Us and Death Stranding come out in 2019 and that's the end of the gen? All their announced PS4 exclusives are done, and now it's PS5 time. Maybe they made this plan a long time ago. Maybe they all had always targeted 2019, and there's no reason for changing it. Maybe they're targeting 2020.
Yeah.
I think we're closer to the end of the gen than we are to the beginning at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Would you agree?
Yeah, we're all closer to the end. I think we're definitely past the halfway point. I think that's why you see so much content. Because we all joke about Xbox. You know what I'm saying? But I think every console is getting a lot of content, and that's because we're past the mid-gen point. Because this is where everybody's work on what they started, in the beginning of the gen or even a year before it, is finally coming into fruition. And everything's being launched, it's pushing out, whether it's third-party or first-party, indie developers, everything's just coming out. But at a certain point, people are going to stop making games for the Xbox One or the PS4 unless they plan to do cross-gen. But at a certain point, they're going to have to pick a date and be like, all right, we got to get ready for next gen, and it's going to be this date. And that's when you start seeing less and less content or new IPs on the current platforms because people moved on. And I just, do you think cross-gen is going to be bigger for next generation? I think it is.
All day? What do you think?
Man. Dude, because this gen was ridiculous for the first 2 years. I never seen so many new projects were still being played on old hardware. Like Destiny and fucking Call of Duty. I was like, holy shit. Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto launched first. But I was like, man, there's a lot of cross-gen titles between these two platforms. So I think it might be even more common to see a PS5 or the next Xbox game also be on Xbox One X, PS4 Pro, and PS4, just to take advantage of, especially with x86 hardware, it's going to be even easier technically to make a cross-gen title. Because
I think going from here on out, that's what's going to be happening. You might see a few titles the first year, but then after that, they'll go ahead and stop doing that. You know what I mean? The first year, that's always going to happen, I think, from now on.
What do you think, man?
Yeah.
I think they have to, because they're just going to be like, we're not giving up the user base on those platforms.
And it worked, I think. I think it worked because a lot of games benefited. Destiny definitely benefited that. Call of Duty definitely benefited that. I think even Titanfall benefited that more than what we realized, in my opinion. Because I think a lot of, I don't know, maybe you know more, bro, but how well did Titanfall do on 360 when it launched?
It did okay. I mean, it didn't launch. I think it was delayed a little bit, the 360 version. I don't think it launched
day and date
with the Xbox One version. I think it did okay. I mean, there's still a large chunk of people who play on the 360.
Yeah.
And there's probably a large chunk of people who play on the PlayStation 3. There's just, for some people, they don't have the money. I mean, people aren't as privileged. I mean, think about it. We're privileged. We own a video game system. It's a luxury to have a video game system. There's a lot of people in this world who aren't as fortunate as us. And for some people, they own multiple versions of video game systems, There are a lot of kids out there who obviously can't, or people out there who are poor that can't afford that stuff. So I'm sure someone might go into buy a used 360 at GameStop for $70 and has a whole bunch of games they can play, same as PlayStation. And I mean, because it's like, go back to MPD. PlayStation had its best month, 1.58 million. Xbox had its best November for 1.4 or whatever it was. Who was buying those consoles? Not the hardcore. Yeah. Hardcore has the system, right? Hardcore bought the system year one. Who is buying these systems, and why is $199 such an important price point? Such an important price point because that is when the general cost, like measuring consumer is like, okay, I'm interested in. They're the consumer that's not interested in exclusives, because if they're interested in exclusives, they would have picked a system by now. They have no allegiance to Sony or Xbox or Nintendo, because if they did, they would be there. So this consumer is only interested in, number one, where their friends are at. That's the exclusive. Where their friends play. Because if the friends plays on PlayStation, where do you think that friend's getting the system?
Yeah.
They're not on PlayStation. If his friend's got an Xbox, he's getting an Xbox. They don't care about Uncharted. They don't care about Horizon Zero Dawn. They don't care about Halo. They don't care about Gears. Because if they did care about those games, they would already have the system.
Yeah. I think friends, popularity and friends, I think is a huge part of console sales. Once you have that popularity and your friends are playing on it, it doesn't matter what game the other platform. You want to play with your peoples because there's more, because you're just not playing with them. But sometimes even off gaming, especially if they're local, you still talk about gaming with them and be like, yo, I'll see you tonight. No doubt, man. We'll hop on Destiny later on tonight. Cool. Check it out later. And that's, it's the new, gaming is like the new bar, for a lot of people. Instead of going to the bar, everybody just goes in the party, crack a beer open, and play games. It's the new poker night for a lot of us.
So that $199 price point for a lot of people are just like, now's the time. Okay, hey Bob, what system you got again? You got that Xbox PlayStation? Oh, it's the PlayStation. Like, they don't know.
Yeah, they'd be like, hey, what you play Madden on? Oh, I play it on PlayStation. Or I play on Xbox. All right, I'm gonna get that. Which one should I get? Oh, they have one for $189. Oh, cool.
And that's why you see the top 10 games for the month were all multiplats. I mean, I know Horizon Zero, and I said in my video, Horizon Zero Dawn was the 10th best selling game of the year. That's phenomenal. Like, for Horizon Zero Dawn to be the 10th best selling game of the year, a game only on one platform.
That's not an easy feat. And that's why I try to tell people, like, that's not easy, because you think about it. Look how many multiplats it had to outsell, like Mass Effect, Resident Evil. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about huge games, and somehow this game by itself was able to outsell them. So I think that's
one of the biggest success stories of this year. You talk about 2017, obviously PUBG coming out of nowhere is like a huge success story, and Horizon Zero Dawn's got to be one too, because it's a new game from Guerrilla, who used to make Killzone, which was their premier first-person shooter multiplayer, developer, who completely turned around and went in another direction and made a third-person open-world RPG action-adventure game, and it's their best-selling game, and it's the 10th best-selling game of the year. Like, that is amazing, and that's that. I look at that, and I saw For Honor was on there as like number 7. I think that's amazing too for a new IP from Ubisoft that is completely different from all the other type of games on that list.
For Honor was there. I was surprised at that. I didn't think that was going to be that popular. It was actually.
Yeah. I mean, Ubisoft sent
they got 2 of them. Ghost Recon Wildlands and For Honor. So that's impressive. They have 2. But it's true what you said, that if imagine like nobody in 2013 or 14, when they heard Guerrilla was making an RPG, not even me, I don't think, if somebody were to tell me back in 2014 that Guerrilla would make an RPG and it would be the 10th best-selling game of 2017, I would look at them like, you're on crack. Like, this is Guerrilla. Like, they're going to make an RPG. Like, this is going to be, come on now.
And Sony didn't even do what I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to bundle in Horizon with the system.
I thought they were going to do that too. I don't know why they did that
with Uncharted, and I thought they'd do it with the game, but they didn't. Maybe they'll do it next year. I don't know.
I honestly thought they were going to do the same thing for $199 Horizon, because I thought like maybe there is a bit of truth that maybe the game didn't make enough money. Because here's the truth: like with Uncharted, when they bundled it, in my opinion, I think they bundled it only because Uncharted reached a point where they made their money back and they made the prop. They're happy with what they got. Now let's take the rest and use it to push console sales.
Well,
let's just give it away, because now the game will help us get console sales.
Well, you know what? Also, Uncharted has that Horizon doesn't.
What? Oh, the
multiplayer with microtransactions.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's that. So you could give someone a copy of Uncharted 4 and the possibility.
I gotta go, guys. I'll see you guys later.
All right, brother.
Later all day. They play it. They love it, and then they play the multiplayer, and they spend some money on that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Which you don't get that with Horizon,
Yeah, that's true.
Which is like, look at Xbox Game Pass. You have Gears in there now. You have Halo. You have a whole bunch of other games. Yeah, you give away these games. Maybe somebody's like, hey, I'll play Halo. Oh, I'll buy some rec packs, or I play Gears. Oh, I'll buy some Gears loot box stuff. I mean, there's always with the chance that you discount these games, you give them away, especially when they have that revenue system on the back end. Horizon didn't have that revenue system, so Maybe we should have known, P-Rock. Maybe we both should have known that they weren't going to do that like they did for Uncharted, because Uncharted had that, because they also bundled Last of Us, right? At some point.
Yeah, they did.
Last of Us has microtransactions in the multiplayer.
They bundled the remaster with Grand Theft Auto 5. If you remember, PlayStation 4 had a bundle with Grand Theft Auto 5 and Last of Us. And when you look at it, those are 2 games with, loot boxes and, microtransactions. They both have it.
So you give the game away for free with the possibility somebody loves it, somebody plays the multiplayer and spends more money.
Yeah, so it's true. Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't have that. So, yeah, I never thought about it that way. It's true. So it makes you wonder. Look at PUBG. Will PUBG eventually have microtransactions? It does have microtransactions, right?
Not right now in the Xbox version, but yeah, I think you can. It's just cosmetic stuff on the PC. I think you can buy like loot boxes and stuff for cosmetic purposes, but it will.
So there's potential for this game to have microtransactions.
Oh, it will. Yeah, it does. It does on the PC, just not right now on the Xbox.
So so maybe that's the reason why Microsoft also is willing to give it away for December. The whole console sells, and it puts it in the hands of gamers that could potentially pay for microtransactions, especially if they love playing it and they stay playing it. Hey, we got them.
I mean, think about all the free game weekends that happens on PlayStation and Xbox. How many times has Rainbow Six Siege gone free? How many, Injustice 2's gone free. Almost all these games that go free all have some back-end system to get more revenue, even if the person's playing for free.
Yeah.
Maybe they really love it, so they buy it, and maybe they really love it, so they spend some money on microtransactions. I mean, it's kind of the world we're living in at this point. So I think about that. It makes sense that they didn't bundle Horizon in with PlayStation, like they did with Uncharted, and it probably means, well, they won't do it for God of War, right? Unless God of War has some secret multiplayer mode, or it has Kratos rates or something.
I don't see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think God of War. I mean, I know they have multiplayer on Ascension. It wasn't very popular, and I know God of War. They haven't talked about multiplayer at all. So I don't know, but I know the game's like supposedly, you know what they say, 25 hours, so you cut it in half, might be 12. Unless they plan to provide expansion packs, because I think that's what that's what I like about The Witcher. The Witcher has consistent content after the fact, and people just wanted to go back. And I think Sony needs to do a better job. Like maybe that's one thing I was disappointed about Horizon Zero Dawn, that they only released 1 expansion pack. And maybe because they only did 1 DLC because they weren't sure how successful, so they didn't want to dedicate 3-4 expansions for a game that could potentially flop. But that's one thing I'm disappointed, because I enjoyed the Frozen Wilds, and that's it. I'm done. There's no more expansion packs. Like, I would love to see, maybe I would like to see a desert type, environment, in this world, because they gave me the Frozen Tundra and the game was very jungle-ish. Maybe a big desert, something more. And I would love to go back to it. So I think Sony needs to, I would like to see Sony, if they're going to create single-player experiences, add those good expansion packs to it. Give us more instead of waiting for the next God of War 3 years from now. In between, keep us happy. And I think gamers will go back to that.
Did you get in trouble for saying PSX wasn't very good?
Oh, no. You know what's so funny? Actually, no, because I think, here's the thing. This is not the first time I blasted Sony on a lot of stuff. I think the biggest event where I blasted Sony and I paid for it, which I didn't mind, was when I called bullshit on the 8.4 T-flops with Mark Cerny. And this is when he first said it. So I made a video, said that it was bullshit, that they're only saying it. And I understand Mark Cerny is a genius, but let's be honest. He said it because it's a good way to detract from the 6 T-flops. Because, let's just be honest, right? And a lot of PlayStation fans hated me for it. I mean, they started doing the GIFs, editing my picture. I mean, the full shebang. People saying, oh, he's going Xbot. He just wants to take advantage of the Xbox community, make money. He just wants to be part of BGST. I mean, it was bad. I lost like half of my subscribers. Literally, I was up to, granted, at the time it was only like 300, but I went back down to like 150, 157. It was almost disheartening, like, oh, shit. But I'm glad it happened, because at that point, the people that kept with me and the new subscribers, I built a subscriber base that allowed me to have negative opinions about Sony and PlayStation products. And they look at me as just a dude that's being real and not a fanboy, or I'm trying to go with Xbox or anything. So when I did my video on, I didn't like PSX at all, they just saw me giving my honest opinion, not because I wanted to go Xbox or I'm changing my tune. They saw that I wanted to be better and that Sony should do better. So I really didn't get much flack for my video on PSX stream being boring. Some people respect it. I mean, I have onesies and twosies, but not like before. Like, I really got anything out of it. Most people were like, yo, you know what? That's keeping it real. We understand. So I honestly have no fear in bashing and thrashing Sony, because the people that's just following and subscribing, they understand that ultimately I just want the product to get better, and I'm not going to circle jerk and stroke Sony just for doing it. So it took a while to get there, but I think the people I got respect my opinion, and they know my opinion is based on the product getting better. All I need to do is try to convince the Xbox dudes I'm just saying the same thing, because I try to, the Xbox dudes on my channel, most of them know I never bashed the Xbox for being weaker. I never made a video about it being 720p or a blurry mess. I never did any of that stuff. I never made a video comparing a multiplat saying, oh, look how this Xbox run this piece of shit. And like, even right now, when Xbox One X, falls flat on certain things, right? I'm not the type to capitalize. I'm like, oh shit, look at this Xbox One X game. It's only running at 58 frames. I don't do that. I don't care about that stuff. I really don't need to bash the platform like that. But I think what I do when I do bash it, most of the people that follow me, they know I'm doing it from a good place and not to make the thing bad. How are you? How's your channel faring in terms of that?
I mean, some people like it when I criticize Microsoft, right? But like, they don't like it so much when I criticize Sony, because they view it as like I'm an Xbox guy going after Sony, which is not necessarily the case. I don't know. It's weird because I'm a primary Xbox gamer. I have criticized them repeatedly on podcasts and videos that I do, and people, Xbox fans both appreciate it, but then a lot of them don't like it because I've come to realize that a lot of Xbox fans just want to be lied to.
I don't get, and I'm not just gonna attack for Xbox fans. Like, why do they want to be lied to? Like, why do they feel good hearing information that's false? Like, what are they getting out of it? I think they just want to hear that the Xbox is the best and that is better than Sony, no matter what, even if it's false. Like, that makes them feel good about themselves and their purchase, because a lot of them are emotionally attached to the console itself, right? They put themselves, like, they put them part of themselves into the console. So when they see people attacking the console, they see it as a viewer's attack on themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, somebody could come to me, you could come to me and be like, Rand, I think the Xbox is trash. I think it has no worthwhile games. I think you're wasting your time on that system. Why don't you come play with the big boys over here on PlayStation, right? But the thing is, like, I'm secure in what I like and what I do, that your opinion of something I own has no effect on my well-being or what I think about it. Like, you hating Xbox doesn't make me want to come to the defense of Xbox because I'm not emotionally invested into the concept of the system like other people are, right? Because that's why I want, just like you, I want Microsoft to get better. You want Sony to get better. I want everybody to get better because everybody makes money. The industry grows. We can have more games to play. We don't want the industry to go away. But every time I view people's comments or what they say on Twitter, all that stuff, I just feel people are invested into the console in such an unhealthy way. It has a lot to do with, the way they perceive the system to be covered by major media outlets, right? Yeah.
They feel that there's getting slighted there. Like, why aren't you talking about this in a better light, such and such, or are Sony paying you? I mean, you've seen it recently with Digital Foundry.
Yeah.
1 minute Xbox guys are like, Digital Foundry is amazing. Yeah, look how much better this game is. And then the next video,
PlayStation fans at the same time are saying, "Oh, Microsoft cut the check."
Yeah, and then the next video, they're people that PlayStation fans are like, "Oh man, Microsoft paid them off," and the next video they're trashing Xbox, and they're like, Xbox fans are like, "Oh, did Sony pay you that?" You can see it in the comments. People are so emotionally invested into their console of choice. It's ludicrous, and I see it sometimes in my channel. Like I said, I made the Crackdown video where I went after how they were handling Crackdown because I didn't think they were handling Crackdown in a way that was beneficial to the game, the way they were showing it off, right? And I had Xbox fans come at me and be like, "You just couldn't believe you did that. How dare you?" I'm like, "What? What did I say? I'm not attacking the developer of the game. I'm not attacking the game itself. I want Microsoft to show it off in a better light to potential customers. I mean, they should want that for themselves." When I say Xbox has had the worst year ever, some people are like, "Rand, stop saying that. They had Halo Wars 2 and Forza." Like, yeah, I get it. Halo Wars 2 and Forza are great games. But the facts are, it's also the least amount of games they released in a single calendar year, right? Luckily, for a lot of people, like, you still have a lot of multi-platform games to play. Yeah, you can play Call of Duty and Star Wars and Wolfenstein and all that stuff. So there are games to play. But some people look at it, Sony, and they're like, "Man, I just want a caliber of a game like Last of Us or God of War, something that like I can get behind." And I know this sounds embarrassing, but they think they could use that game in a console war list because that's what a lot of this stuff comes down to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right? Is that a lot of people like want to be able to use the Xbox exclusives versus the PS4 exclusives in a console war list to justify their purchase of the system and why they're such fans of the system, in my opinion.
Yeah. So it's great that you brought up that point of Crackdown because I did the same thing. I bashed Crackdown. But when I made the video, my critique was exactly how Microsoft handled the IP. I told them that they put the game in the hands of people to stream it, and they have no idea how to play the game. Like, why would you do that? Like, why didn't you, like, a week before, 2 weeks before, get whoever, right? Even if it was the same two females, whatever, be like, "Hey, this is what we're going to do. Your good guys are going to demo and stream Crackdown. You're going to play this level. This is the intent. This is what you're going to do. We need you to practice the next 2 weeks. So that way, when we show it, you guys know exactly what to do." Kind of like you saw the Detroit demo. Did you see the Detroit demo on PSX stream when they played it live on stage?
Yeah.
I guarantee that's not the first time he did that. He played the game 100 times. He knew exactly what they were doing. It was staged. They knew exactly where to look, where to walk, what choice to make to ultimately make that final choice of shoot the guy in the head and save the girl at the end of the day. None of that was on the whim. It was practice, it was staged, and it made the game look great, and everybody was happy looking at it. That is what Microsoft should have done for Crackdown. Play the game over and over, pick a level where the guy had all these superpowers, and we're not wasting time seeing two people trying to figure out what the A button does. That doesn't make the game look good at all.
No, because it makes it look boring. And that's the exact opposite that you want. And that's what I was talking about. It's like, look, you need to put the hands of Crackdown and someone knows how they're playing. So make it look exciting, make it look fun. All you did was like, here's some D-list celebrity, and the game looks boring.
They're laughing like, ho, what do you do with the A button? How do you even jump in this thing? Like, I'll be honest, I was more frustrated. I'm like, I can't watch this because you got two dimwits that, do they even game? Like, do you guys even know how to play a game? Like, I was more focusing on how terrible they are as gamers than the game itself. That's what was Microsoft thinking?
So it's weird because, like I said, part of my subscriber base really appreciates that I keep it real on Xbox. I'll criticize it, but then also I do positive news or things that I enjoy about the system. But then also, like, I talk positively about Sony whenever I do Sony videos. Most of my channel is about Xbox because that is what I know. But then there are occasions where, like, I'd watch PSX. I thought it was a waste of time.
I agree.
Right?
I said the same thing.
Even though I'm anticipating their exclusives more than Microsoft exclusives, people will be like, "You don't know what you're talking about, Rand. You're just an Xbot, all this nonsense." It's like, man, you can't even have an opinion.
No.
And
Yeah, I said the same thing with PSX in my video. I'm like, it wasn't good. It was 2 hours of nothing. And people come at me, even before I'm in the video, they're like, well, you can't expect, Sony told you what was happening. You can't expect.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, I could have taken the same show, showed the same games, and my vision of that show would have been 100 times better. You know how? I would have said, hey, when we talk about dreams, play it on stage. Just like what they did with Detroit. We're going to talk about Detroit, play it on stage. We're going to talk about God of War, play it on stage. Oh, and how about this? We'll add Spider-Man. We're going to show Spider-Man. Everybody knows, but we're going to play it on stage. Why? Because that's what we're used to. Online streaming, people seeing other people play the games, we're used to that. In fact, that's part of our culture now. So if people were to sit back for 2 hours and watch all these games we're waiting for actually being played, people would have loved PSX. Because that's what we do when we watch Twitch and, Mixer. We're watching other people play games. So people would have not had an issue of people playing Spider-Man and then sit down and talk about what was actually being played. That would have been a much better show. People would have confidence that the game's closer to release because it's being played in front of us. And that's all they had to do. They didn't have to make not one new announcement. Just take the same games we know, but instead of showing a trailer, play it. Let's see you play the game. Show us gameplay. And we can watch, and that would have been amazing. I would have been amazed if I could see somebody play God of War, like actually playing it live in front of me. I would have loved it. I would have been like, holy shit, it's playable. They're playing it.
Because a couple people said to me, "Is like, Rand, Sony told you it was going to suck before it happened." I'm like, oh, so that's your defense? Like, they knew it was going to suck. If they knew it was going to suck, why'd they even bother going through with it?
Exactly.
I don't get it. It's like, it would have been, like you said, it would have been cool. A new trailer for God of War with, just new stuff. Instead it was just so Kojima.
Yeah, we're gonna
for us today. And then they're like, we got insight on the developers and what. Oh, really? We got insight on the development of the game. What insight did we gather from all this stuff?
Like, when he said that, I'm like, well, I hope you had insight because they work for you. So
there is no.
It would have been if they would have played the game and then talked about it. I would have been cool because they played it and they're talking about what's been played, and I would have been like, man, this is amazing. Like Detroit to me was the best part of the stream because they played it. And I'm like, man, this looks good. The character's moving good. Look at all the choices. Look at the investigations. I'm seeing gameplay. I would have loved somebody to go on stage and have Spider-Man swing across the city and just just show me how big that world is and how active. That would have been phenomenal. But PSX was trash, Now I'm sure the people that were there, if you're live and you're there, it was probably fun. All day I heard he had a great time. J-Dub had a great time and a lot of people, but that doesn't do me any good. They presented online and stream for me, and the best part was the shit talking on my podcast when I streamed it live. Most people enjoyed me talking shit than they did in an actual stream, which says something, but I don't know. I don't think people, like you said, I don't think people could take constructive criticism because let's be honest, the criticism is not going to destroy the brand. If anything, we're showing like, hey, if this is fucked up and Microsoft and Sony doesn't change, this could potentially make them look worse over time. Like, don't do another PSX like this or something like that. Or don't do another game unveiling like this, We're just noticing the faults so that way they don't repeat it. And maybe they're not listening to you. Maybe you have a bigger ear in the industry. But hopefully, Sony might realize, we kind of fucked that up. We're probably not going to do a PSX ever like that again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And hopefully Phil could be like, we kind of, kicked it in the can when it came to how we show Crackdown. Maybe next time we'll do a staged event where we'll have people already play the game and practice it. That way, when it goes live, people know what they're actually doing, but he's acting a fool in front of everybody.
Like with Sea of Thieves, they have the alpha so people can experience it for themselves, right?
Yeah.
And, they just released an 8-minute YouTube video going over the progression of the system. So it's all just tight, like information that you can see, all done by people who know what they're doing. And the same thing with the stream where they debuted all that stuff. It was like people who have developed the game know the ins and outs, talking about it and playing it. So because people have short attention spans.
Yeah.
You only have a few minutes or a few seconds to grab them. They see some chick flailing around, not knowing how to jump or use the controller. It's like, well, okay, so why should I be interested in this game again? Like, you see Corey Balrog sitting on a couch, and he's just like, tired, man. Like, making video games is tiring. Oh, you want to know when God of War is coming out? Oh, dog ate the release date.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 20. Like, what was I supposed to learn about all that?
Yeah,
Like, it was just nonsense. Like, it was utter nonsense. Like when I watched that show, but of course, the Sony guys, a couple of Sony guys came at me and were didn't appreciate that. But it was like, hey, man, like you said, I all day enjoyed it. The people there enjoyed it, but it could have just been special, like a special event for the people there that didn't need to be live streamed because nothing new came out from it.
We didn't need anything from us. Yeah, I agree.
Xbox's Gamescom, like, it didn't need to be live streamed either. It could have just been YouTube videos or articles. You didn't need to do it.
I completely agree. Yeah, I would say I think it was a waste of time and stuff. And I agree. I didn't like Gamescom and I didn't like the PSX event either or. I think it was a waste of time. But luckily, I think I got to the point where I didn't get bashed too much about it. But that's because I don't know. People know I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, and I'm saying it from a good place. I don't bash it just to bash it. Like I said, I never made videos about the Xbox One having a blurry piece of shit or 720p. I didn't care about that. Like I don't care about that. That doesn't. I don't see why the conversation. I know some people did it. I just avoided it. Like the Digital Foundries, I don't make videos on Digital Foundry findings because sometimes you can't blame the console. It's the developer. Sometimes they're lazy. Sometimes they don't see the time into they just who knows what a developer is going to do on any platform. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. I stay away from that topic in the conversation. I don't care that a game's running at 44 frames or. I don't care about that. I don't think it's a worthwhile conversation, and it is what it is. To me, if you're a console gamer, you're going to be stuck at the frame rates that you're going to get. If you really want locked 60 frames, go PC. That's the only place you're going to get what you want. Consoles, I don't care if it's the best console in the world. If a developer decides to give you 30 frames, you're going to get 30 frames, and there's shit you're going to do about it. You don't like it, go PC.
There's a question I want someone to address to me. He says... It's from Damien. He says, do you think Xbox didn't send you a free Xbox One X because of your Xbox criticism? No. Because you have to request those.
Yeah.
I didn't request it until 2 weeks before they sent them out. So they had already earmarked them all. Yeah. So if I would have emailed 2 months beforehand, possibly could have gotten one. But I asked way too late. Because for those you have to request. They just don't send those out to everybody. You know what I mean? Like you have to make a formal request and blah 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 blah. I do get all Microsoft's games for review. They sent me PUBG and they sent me Super Lucky's Tale.
That's awesome.
They sent me Halo Wars 2 and all that stuff. So and I'll probably get next year like Sea of Thieves and all their first party games. But no, the system, I just didn't ask in time. And honestly, I probably shouldn't. Like, if you're in the PR department and you saw a guy with 9,000 subs on YouTube, would you give them an Xbox One X? Probably not, because they're not worth the money the system is. I mean, like someone with that many subs isn't worth it in the grand scheme of things, because there's so many other people who have so much more from Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube that there's bigger channels that they could go for. At that point, it's really just a numbers game. It's just like, okay, how many people watch your videos? What's your follower count? What's your average watch time? There's a certain threshold you have to kind of reach.
Yeah. And there's also, like you said, like, let's say like a lot of people thought, I remember some people were upset that guys like Boogie and other people were getting Xbox One X's when they were the biggest critics. People have to understand that if you can convince Boogie, if you send him the Xbox One X and he actually gives good positive reviews on it, he's reaching out to his huge million whatever fan base, and he's giving up. But you could change a lot of minds from what he says, So sometimes you figure Microsoft shifts one console to Boogie, it's only a $500 console, but the result could lead to 100,000 sales. Simply because Boogie says, man, this console's amazing. If you want to pay your multiplats, go get this console. Boom, 100,000 people went out around the world and bought, So that one investment, giving it to Boogie, could lead to tens of thousands of console sales simply because there's potential of him being happy in what he received. You know what I mean? I mean, wouldn't you agree that could potentially do. You know, it's an investment.
If I was in PR and I wanted to, that I would send one to Boogie. You know, they send them to the right people. Like, let's not. Am I upset I didn't get one? Of course not, because it only makes me want to do better, be better, make better content. You know, maybe when the next time they have the system, they can send one to me for review. I mean, they already trust me enough giving me their own copies of their own games for review. You know, I get sent also games from developers because I do reviews on my channel, but you know, it doesn't. There's a certain way you got to present yourself, because there are channels out there that they don't want to screw around with, like Xbox PR, or EA PR. Like, they know, like, they're like, no, we're not giving this person anything. You know,
yeah,
like,
they know
you can blacklist yourself if you're not, you know, careful about it. EA is very notorious for doing stuff like that. So is Bethesda, actually. Bethesda is very notorious for blacklisting people. But I think Xbox did a good job trying to get the awareness of the X out there. I mean, they sent it to pretty much everybody who had some sort of large following on the internet. I know that made a lot of Xbox fans salty, but it's just business, man. You know, if you were important enough to get one, you would have gotten one. You know,
that's the reality. If you're big enough, you're gonna get it.
Yep. Right. Sony does the same. You know, when the PS5's getting ready to come out, Sony's going to send out the PS5 to everybody they know to get the word about the PS5 out, right?
Hopefully that's enough time for me to be big.
There you go.
3 years. I got 3 years. What is it? 2017?
Yeah, I mean, you said it was going to be 2021. So.
Yep, I got 3 years. Let's go. Anyway. All right, I think we've been in this long enough. Hey, Random Thor, it's always a pleasure.
And I can't talk to you, Rock. We don't get to hang out that much, you know. I've been trying to get you on Party Chat on the Xbox, but you know,
I haven't been on it for a minute, believe it or not. I've been playing a lot of PlayStation, but I gotta get on. Yeah, I definitely gotta get on a Party Chat, and we definitely. I know a lot of people always ask. Even now, I saw in the tweet, I saw a couple of guys like, "Are we the only ones that want to see Rand and Puerto Rock and more podcasts?" I don't know. That's good stuff right there. But I definitely gotta get you more time on my podcast and stuff like that, and definitely do more stuff with you. You know, and I enjoyed the thing you do with Jez Corden.
Thanks.
The Xbox 2 is a great podcast. A lot of people think I don't listen to Xbox podcasts. There's some good, like your podcast is phenomenal. So I like watching your podcast. Sometimes I'm not in the chat because I mostly listen to it on my phone. Like if you see me in a chat, it's because I'm on a PC. If I'm not in the chat, I'm just listening to it on my phone on a YouTube app or something like that. But a lot of people don't realize I listen to some Xbox podcasts and stuff like that. It's just the ones that go way too far right. That I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean. When it's way too much, I can't do it. I'm not here for this, you know. But like yours, I actually like Kids Moves, Planet Xbox podcast. I listened to that a couple of times. That's pretty good.
I would love to get you to come on more. I have the podcast with Jez, but it's like I kind of want to. I should try to do more impromptu ones. You know, like. Where you could have people on and talk about stuff, because you know, we have good discussions. We could, you know, there's definitely people out there like Fonz. You can get to join and stuff where you could have a really good discussion about topics, especially when you have new people discuss new things. But yeah, it's always fun getting to talk to you. I tuned into the multiplayer for a little bit. I saw you handing out those L's all over the place. You should have taken their money, by the way. That's what I would have done. You know, you knew. You knew that PlayStation was going to win. You should have taken their money.
But here's the listen. I understand. Like, listen, I'm gonna show my age. I'm 40 years old, and there's a time where my morals and I'm not gonna take advantage of other people's stupidity. I just maybe if I was 20 something, I would have done it. But now I'm like, yeah, I get it. You're betting. You want to bet the house against me, and it's like one of those. The only reason why I took D's bet is because he called me delusional and started cursing me out. So it's more of a lesson to humble himself. Like, relax. It's not that serious. You didn't have to call me delusional. It's just an opinion. But, hey, you want to go that way? Fine. I hope you. So I hope D learned the lesson. Like, you know, like, relax. It's a different opinion. But if you want to think I'm delusional, fine. I'll take your money then. If this is what you want, if this is what you want to go after, fine. But like Tim Dog, you don't know how many times Tim Dog wanted to bet me because he was so confident that Xbox One was going to win November. But he's a good dude. I never had an insult contest with him. Like, he never called me an asshole, a fanboy, you know, delusional. We never had those type of conversations. So me and Tip Dog, actually, I need to get him on a podcast because me and him are really cool all the time. Yeah. So when he bet me, I'm like, I'm not going to take your money, because I know you're not gonna win. I'm not gonna do it. And he was adamant.
I wasn't gonna bet you because I knew it was gonna be close. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be close. I just thought Switch would win. Like I fell for the Switch hype, dude. I thought like people,
I was surprised because that's why when me and Zayeb did the bet, we specifically tailored it to where it was between PlayStation and Xbox. So let's say Switch did win MPD, then it came down to who took second place. Because to me, Switch was the wild card. I had no idea, and there was times I'm thinking, damn, Switch might actually win overall, but that didn't matter because the bet was between those two.
So if anybody wants to bet P-Rock for December, because he said earlier he's not sure who's going to win December. Maybe we want to bet on that one.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. I did what I knew was gonna happen. I'll be honest, December, I have no idea. I don't know. Because like Sony doesn't have any deals. In my opinion, this whole pay to win debacle with Battlestars, in fact, I think that's one of the reasons why it was so close. Because I don't think a lot of people went out and bought the bundle as much as it should have sold. I think that impacted the sales. Because I seen a lot of Star Wars, and I know that's not a doctor. But I seen a bit of excessive amount of Battlestar Wars bundles in stores, more than I would think. Like I didn't see a lot of Call of Duty, but the Battlefront bundles, they were everywhere. And I'm like, this is even after Black Friday and after Cyber Monday. It was just everywhere.
It was still
It was everywhere. Yeah, and I don't know. I could just, and I'll be honest, and I saw those games on the shelf. Like when I went on Black Friday to Best Buy, there was a shitload of Star Wars Battlefront games, while all the other games were being sold out. And that's why I just don't know how it ended up number 2. Like if they didn't have this pay to win issue, this game could have been number 1. I think it would have done better than Call of Duty if it didn't have that black sheet thing behind it, like the pay to win. I don't know. I don't know. I'm confused with that, but I think it had something. I think it impacted the bundle sales.
Right. Well, they said Call of Duty is like the best selling Call of Duty in like 6 years. So I doubt Battlefront would have beat that. But Sony's probably a little pissed off about that because they did pay for the marketing deal.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Maybe it didn't do as well as they thought because of the whole backlash stuff.
Yeah, and it's not like Sony knew that it would happen. It just makes sense. We're gonna pay for that. Right. So anyway, I gotta get going. So anyway, I appreciate everything. Hey, Vanto, again, thank you so much. We gotta do this again. To everybody in the chat, thank you so much for rocking out with us. I had no idea this will turn into this, but I appreciate it. Anytime I could talk to a man outdoor, and obviously all day is a good day. Talk gaming, and we gotta do it more often. You know what I'm saying? Fun, man. I think we're the last bastion of PlayStation, Xbox dudes that can have good conversation and respect each other's. And like if you come out with a criticism on PlayStation, I have no issues. And you're right almost all the time. And to be honest, a lot of your criticism about PlayStation, I kind of most of the time I do agree with it. But I think we look at it from a perspective of we want to critique to make this platform better, not to antagonize people. And that's the one thing I tell people. I'm not here to antagonize you. I'm not here to have you get pissed off at me. We're just trying to see something from our perspective, and hopefully we're reaching out and letting you know that just from our perspective, this is how things could get better if we address it now. I mean, right. And I think you're the same way. Because at the end of the day, I tell people constantly, it's really a box that plays games. It doesn't matter what's it called. It's a CPU, GPU, and RAM with a controller. But if you want that box to get better, address the issues it has,
but the
and it will get
better.
Is
me and you aren't emotionally invested into it, while other people are.
I'm not. Yeah, some people, like, my favorite is when people come up to me and be like, haha, Xbox One X is better than the Pro. I'm like, I tell them, yeah, it is more powerful. And then they just like look at me like, what? Did you admit it? I'm like, did you expect me to say anything else? Do you want me to lie and say that it's not? It's more powerful. The games run better. But guess what? I don't care because I don't own either.
Yeah.
I got a Xbox One 1 terabyte Halo edition and a vanilla PS4. Does that tell you I care about power?
And they're like, the X can't even run PUBG at 5 frames. I'm loving it. Whatever. Okay. Like,
all right. One last super chat for Lionel before we go. Games are on everything, sell more, but isn't going to save the platform. Exclusives make and save consoles. Without Halo and Gears, Xbox gets nowhere. Without Uncharted, PS3 would have never been saved. I could agree to some of that. I think exclusives help. I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest. I think exclusives help for the hardcore to initially choose a console, but I think third party is more important because imagine if I remember this. I'll say this: in 2009, Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision, he made a statement, and this is 3 years into the gen already, 3-4 years, depending on what kind of platform you support. You know, if you support 360, it was 4 years. If you support PlayStation, 3 years. So we're deep into the gen, right? It's halfway into the gen. And Bobby Kotick came out with a statement and said, if Sony doesn't find a way to improve PS3 sales, we might look into not supporting the platform. So imagine no more Call of Duty on PS3 from 2009 out. Imagine if 2009 was the last Call of Duty. It would have been a disaster for the platform. I think it's kind of like when EA pulled support from Dreamcast. It was done. It was over. Like, there's some companies that if you don't get their games, your console is done. And in my opinion, Activision, EA, and Ubisoft are one of those three manufacturers that if any of them decide to pull out of a platform, that platform's dead. Yeah. What do you think about that, man? I know this might extend the podcast, but what do you think? Let's say if you woke up tomorrow, right? And Ubisoft is like, listen, our games sell better on PlayStation. We will no longer support the Xbox One platform. How big would that
would hurt?
Ripple.
That would hurt. Ubisoft's a big supporter of Xbox, so if they were like, those games will no longer be there. Now all the Ubisoft games are essentially exclusive to PlayStation. That's hurt. They make a lot of games.
Yeah, so you're saying so. I think those three companies.
Yeah, people would be upset. EA, FIFA, Madden, like all that stuff. I mean,
oh my God, I think also EA. I think EA bigger than anybody else because imagine no more Madden, FIFA on your platform.
Battlefield,
you know how many casuals with Madden alone saying I can't play Madden on Xbox. I'm out.
Yep. We're like,
I'm out.
Call of Duty, Destiny. I mean, yeah, those are they're big, they're big games. Those multiplats are big games.
Yeah.
And if any of those were exclusive, oh man, I mean, just look at like earlier this year, like PlayStation had Horizon, but then they also had Neo and Nier Automata and Persona 5. They're not first party games outside of Horizon, but they're third party games exclusive. And imagine if it was also Ghost Recon and Far Cry and Madden. It'd be like
imagine if Ghost Recon and For Honor was exclusive to Xbox, considering how well they sold this year. They're in the top 10. That's huge.
I mean, look at PUBG. Like PUBG, million in 2 days. I mean, like, there's something to be said about that, man. Yeah,
it's true. So third party is this combination. So I do agree Uncharted helped the PS3, but it was also because they had the multiplats. So as long as both platforms, in my opinion, as long as both platforms or whatever, as long as every platform has multiplats, it's kind of like a stalemate because you could play it. You could pick and choose where you want to play it. I think like the exclusives might add a little flavor for certain people to say, well, yeah, this console has the same games, but I'm into RPGs, so I'm going to go into this console. Or I'm into co-op multiplayer, so I'm going to pick this console. For some, not everybody, but I think for some gamers, people will choose that console because, it has that extra flavor without missing third party. But if your console don't have third party, it's going to... And I think that's what happened with the Switch. I think because the Switch didn't have the Destinies, the Call of Duty, that's probably why it lost MPD. Because majority of people, you saw the list, everybody wants to play Call of Duty. Everybody wants to play Battlefront. Everybody wants to play, you saw the top games Madden. Switch doesn't have those games. Or maybe it has Madden, I'm not sure. Call of Duty and For Honor and Destiny and Battlefront. So there's nothing for people to be like, well, I could play my Destiny on Switch and I can play Mario, so I'm going to buy a Switch. That wasn't there in November. If you bought a Switch, it's because you don't care about third party and you care more about Nintendo's first party and the mobile side. And I think, as you can see, that's not a big seller. That's not enough. What do you think?
I was kind of reading the chat and I got distracted. So I didn't hear what you were saying. Because crap, they're going off in chat, so it's kind of
oh
funny.
shit. Anyway, all right, we'll leave it off with that. Anyway, I gotta get going because this we could be here till 11 o'clock at night. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. To all the super chat donators like Lionel and everybody else, I really appreciate the support. I know people are sending me donations through PayPal. Thank you so much. I'm gonna find a way to recognize all you supporters on my channel because I think that's very nice of you, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Man, again, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Oh, Ravenflow, there you go, Ravenflow. Thank you so much for sending that PayPal. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I got it. I was looking for your name, but I couldn't find this because you had the word "duh" in front of it. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much again, Rand. I can't say enough. It's always awesome to listen to you and your insight. Definitely love watching your content, and you're one of my favorite Xbox channels out there on YouTube. Definitely. If you don't know Rand, which everybody knows Rand, definitely check out his content. It's amazing, and I just enjoy the stuff he brought to the table.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I love watching your stuff too. So,
all right, thank you. All right, everybody else, appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the content. Thank you so much. Peace.